Hi, everyone. My name is Bruce, and today with me we have Janet from Another Planet and our guest critic, Six Nation 31 Kings. Hello, you two.
Hello.
Hey, we are doing some reviewing on a movie from director Simon West from 1999 called The General's Daughter, starring John Travolta, Madeline
Madam
Stowe,
Stowe. Mhm.
James Cromwell, Leslie Stephenson, and James Woods. Now, there is a lot of interesting stuff about this movie that we want to discuss. Uh, First and foremost, before I hand over the audio here, the U.S. Army absolutely denies any participation or approval of this film.
Yeah.
It's in the trivia. They didn't want anything to do with it. They don't want anything to do with the film production. They the only correlation is that the U.S. Army uniforms and this movie's uniforms might look alike, and you might have some identical style sounds from some of the sets that were caught on film. But the
Mhm.
Army doesn't want to talk about this movie, and I'm just going to say that if you're a woman in the military, either you sew up your sex organ and you refuse to allow anything into it, including air, or you're probably ran through like a you're a goddamn whore like that. It doesn't start like that, but
I
most
didn't think that at all.
Well,
most
I
ladies
didn't
in the
I
think
was
military
going to
don't
say the
talk
reason
about
why the Army didn't uh, go along with it was, they didn't have an advisor apparently because, like, who goes off duty in their dress blues?
nobody goes off duty in a dress blues. There's a lot of other things that never fucking happen that this movie just puts on camera.
But see, the thing
But
is, you got to realize not everybody that watches movies like this are in the military. Okay. Just like me,
sure,
I'm not a military
I'm
person. So
not.
little details like that. Yeah. But you know a lot about military. So you would notice things, but other
I hang
people,
out with fun people. That's why.
well,
there's
yeah, but regular people that watched like the Captain Marvel movie, okay, that never saw Captain Marvel didn't realize that he didn't get his eye scratched out by a kitty, stuff like that. I'm just saying there's details that more other people wouldn't even notice. So just because we notice something, because I'm a military brat, you were in the military, that kind of thing, other people wouldn't. Okay, so little technical things like that to them, it would go right over their head. So it wouldn't
it,
I got
affect.
300 hours of Call of Duty. So there.
yeah.
Okay, but you know what I mean. Like
This movie though,
uniforms, badges, the way that the men act in the locker room, things like that. Most people would not notice the difference between that and any football game or anything like that. They wouldn't see the differences. That's all I was
Were,
trying to say.
were we as a nation doing the whole don't ask, don't tell thing?
yeah,
Or was
this
that?
So
part of it.
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
that was during Clinton's time, right?
Yeah,
Did
Like
he
my
start
shoved out in early '93.
that? Yeah, this was
my
the movie.
memory is a little dusty.
So yeah.
And like, I'm not saying that every woman in the military, if they're not like abstaining from sex, they're an absolute barracks pump or like barracks bunny or base pump or like the
And
ship's
plus,
revolving
just
door. But
because
I'm just saying, like,
this,
there's more freaks in the military because of the
National Guard. Enough
yeah.
said.
There's so many people there that like they just probably could qualify for an advisor for Penthouse Forum. And
well,
I hate saying that, disparaging that, like women in military, but like this movie doesn't really raise the observational standard of casual people's mentality of women in the military, especially during the Clinton administration, which was, for a woman to get ahead, she has to get under the desk. Thank you, Kamala Harris, for giving young girls something to look up to.
well, the thing one thing I want to say is like when he gets to meet the general's daughter when she helps him change the tire on his vehicle. Okay, the fact that he was wearing a uniform and she was wearing a uniform, okay, didn't make any didn't stick out like a sore thumb to me. even though they weren't on duty. The reason is because I was a military brat. I grew up on air bases. Everyone still wore their uniform. Lots of people had uniforms on, even when they went off base. So seeing people in a uniform after work did not, I didn't think anything of it. It didn't take me out of it or anything. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, most people wouldn't even notice that. I still see people sometimes with uniforms on and they're not on base. So just saying, a normal person.
Yeah, we got them up here.
About that. Sorry, go ahead. You can go now.
Go ahead there, Six Nations.
I was just agreeing. Yeah, people do go off base in their uniforms, but like they're big dress, like they got to be on duty to do that, or they're shopping at Walmart or whatever.
Head cover, I know that. So when they're walking around outside, they're supposed to be wearing their hat that goes with their military uniform.
I will say one of the pluses to this movie, it was nice to see the M81 camo.
Yeah.
Old style woodland camo always looks good on film.
I like the way this movie starts because it feels like it's not the movie that we got. It feels like it's a summer blockbuster.
Like we were discussing earlier, Striking Distance. It had that feel with Bruce Willis, his River Cop movie.
And if you've never seen Striking Distance, you probably should. It feels like it's a summer blockbuster. I like Striking Distance quite a bit. I think that's an unsung movie that nobody has talked about a whole lot. And it's got the right amount of toxicity to where Nick Weiser and his merry band of Tuesday Night Fellows would be right at home talking about that. But we'll cover that movie here soon enough. The first part of the movie is like a 3-minute action scene where somebody's trying to kill off John Travolta, and it starts off great, and then the cinematography gets kind of wonky, and John Travolta does some moves in there that it's not the movie this movie was not made by the same people that made the Bourne Identity films, which those hand-to-hand combats felt very lethal and brutal, and the ADR was at the right level to where you could hear the bone snapping just right when there was a bone snap, and you heard things like that. This here felt a lot more like this was a residual part of Con Air that wasn't used, which was one of the director's previous movies he worked on. And even though Travolta played a real convincing super action hero in Face Off, in the first 3 minutes, something was wrong once he got in the water, and the way he was trying to move around or trying to navigate this, something just felt off to me. And he's tying the rope around the antagonist, and then it does like 7 or 8 cuts to show the propeller of the boat spinning, and you know how that ends. It started off great, and then like it's
that over the top thing that I was talking about earlier.
Yeah, and it just slid right downhill for me. And then we get the rest of the movie. I had a different idea of what this movie was going to be like, and I was wrong.
Well, I didn't see that at all. See, to me, the opening scene basically was trying to tell us who he was, what his job was in the military. And what I thought was interesting was the fact that he meets this girl. She helps him by giving him a tire iron and helping him, to change the tire on his vehicle, right? And that was, to me, was out of place. The fact that he didn't even have a tire iron in his car, and he's a military guy. I don't know. That, to me, that was kind of like dumb. But I guess they wanted to introduce her character into the story before she's dead. You know what I mean? But to me, it was just too kind of hokey. The fact that she was in it that way instead of with some other character. Like maybe he went into the bar and she's in the bar talking to some other people and playing pool or something. You know, I don't know, something where it wasn't directly with him. To me, that was too hokey for me. That was too, I don't know. This didn't fit.
Yeah, for those that aren't in the know,
Yeah.
The
We weren't
movie starts out
remember
with Travolta as doing an investigation for gun running,
Mhm.
and then he comes across what's her face, General's daughter,
Yeah, the
who ends up
actress playing
tying
the
him
dog.
into the crime that this movie's based off of. So,
But see, if he
like
went
his
in,
original job was to go after the gun runners, and he gets sidetracked into this.
well, if he had went into the NCO club or something like that on a base, and then saw her interacting with other people, like playing pool or eating dinner or something like that, and he just happened to sit down or walk by where there was a conversation, and somebody said, "Hey, how are you?" and shook hands with him or something like that, and that's how he saw her. He not really interact with her, but he saw her at the table and heard her speaking and stuff, and then later we would find out that she was the general's daughter. You see what I mean?
Mhm.
That would have been more believable for the character, but for some reason they felt it was important for us as viewers to see her interact with him for some reason. I don't know why. To me, that was a little, whatever. Oh, hey, Jerry. Thank you for stopping in. He's over on X. But that to me was, I don't know. I didn't even know who she was, because she was just some good, pretty girl. That's what was it? They said she was a captain.
Yeah.
Okay, so she was an officer, and she's helping him change his tire, which was nice. I mean, it showed that she was a nice person. But later, when we get to see her arguing with him, or not arguing with, but basically when he comes into her office or whatever beforehand, you know what I mean?
Yep.
That would have been the first thing, instead of her changing his tire. Him just seeing her in the NCO club or something, to me, would have been more believable. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes any sense to anybody else, but to me, that was a little open, like shoving her into us into seeing them two having a relationship beforehand or something. I don't know. To me, it just didn't jive very well. It would have been more believable.
It was almost like two different types of movies. You got the action thriller, and then you got the criminal investigation mystery type thing.
Well, to me, it made me think that there was more than one writer, and the writers didn't agree on exactly how they wanted her to be introduced into the script. That's why I asked Bruce before we went live, well, who wrote this script? Because there's little things like that. If I had a little more time, that I would have brought out, because to me, that's one reason why I don't really like multiple writers, because when you have that, it sometimes can cause problems with the script, because nobody wants to give up their portion. You see what I mean? They're all going to find.
Like, it works good for sketch comedy, but if you're doing a movie, you got to have like a cohesive path to follow.
This movie's like the three writers did not seem like they got along well. Like, this was a three-headed giant that the movie just felt disjointed for me in the first act.
But that's because the puzzle's not fitting together properly. They're all wanting to get to a location, but they don't agree on how to get there, because they know the general's daughter is going to die. And now we got to figure out who did it. It was a whodunit type thing, but each of them had their point of view of how to get to the ending. And that's why I asked that at the beginning. It was like, who wrote this script? Because it seemed disjointed a little. There wasn't cohesiveness between the writers and for the director to let it stay that way. I don't understand that either, because
for a linear film.
Yeah, it should be always the director is always right. I mean, anyone who's on a set knows that it doesn't matter whether we like it or that person likes it. It's what the director wants. So the fact that the director didn't have his vision be the overall view. I don't know. I just thought that was, I don't know. It takes you out. Just like you said, you had a hard time following certain things and staying involved in the story because you kept getting pulled aside by the chemistry between two characters or whatever. And that was because you had different points of view of writers being put into one scene instead of them all agreeing on this is what we want, the flow. See what I mean?
Mhm.
I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, I could definitely see that.
I had a real problem with just the disjointed feeling of it, and it felt like they were trying to almost emulate the disjointed or misaligned chronology, like what you got in 1994's Pulp Fiction.
Mhm.
Okay? We got
Yeah.
I was thinking the same.
we got John Travolta here. Why don't we do that? You know, that was cool. That was edgy. And why don't we try to make it like a blockbuster, like you did Con Air? And we'll do some other things, because this movie, man, I remember when I wrote this in 1991 when everything was edgy, it just felt fucking edgy throughout the entire goddamn movie for very little payoff. And that was my big complaint of that.
Yeah, because when they found her dad and the way that she was displayed, it was almost like, like a prominent person in government. Okay, let's say you would take a senator or a governor's daughter, and you would want to humiliate the governor, so kill his daughter and display her in such a form that it's so pornographic and obscene that everybody and their brother is going to be there wanting to take snapshots and put it on every tabloid, basically. But that didn't happen because it was on a base. You see what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it was like confined. Okay, a lot of people don't realize the intricacies of a military base. A military base is just like a city or a town, and it's all controlled by the government, but by the military. Okay, so you have everybody is in charge, knows that they all have to, everything has to go through the highest member on the base. Okay,
everyone knows their roles and it goes through the proper channels.
Yeah, but it's stricter. Okay, it's way stricter than a city. Okay, you have a mayor and you have all the different stuff in a city, but you have other people like other prominent people that are rich, that have money, that have say on whether this is going to go this way or that way, and not just the governor or the mayor. See, on a base, you have the general. Everybody knows that whatever the general wants is going to be done, and it goes through the MPs, and it's not the same thing as a sheriff or a police department. You might have the sheriff and the police department butting heads about things, and then you're going to have a couple reporters that are trying to get the tidbits of the story because they want their newspaper or their magazine or their website to be the first one to get the goods and put them out there to make money, right? But on a military base, even the military media are going to say, hell no, I am not going over the general's head. See, they're all know the general is the one that's going to snip you in the bud and you're gone. You won't have a career. Will never work on another base. You'll never have another job in the military if you undermine the general. Basically. So basically that's what this whole thing is. It was what happened and why it was hush hush, and everybody's, sneaking around, and they won't talk to you because they're not going to say anything that might get them in trouble and lose their job in the military. Because military is totally different. That's why a lot of people don't realize when you go to a military court, you would rather go to a regular court and get your little slap on the wrist compared to what you're going to get if you end up going to a military prison. A lot of people don't understand the dynamics of that. And I think that's one reason when we were talking about the U.S. Army refused to have anything to do with the script, to let them film, like what with Top Gun, they were all like excited, to have their hands in.
Yeah, anything critical of the military or showing a lapse in leadership or judgment, that's a big no-no.
But
that can affect the morale of everybody.
the Top Gun made the military look good.
Yeah.
It was totally
Mhm.
different. It made them all heroes. So the movies that makes the military look good, they're all happy to send people in and help you do this scene or do that scene because it makes the military look good. Now, like that movie G.I. Jane that Bruce really didn't like, it didn't make the military look bad. It made the senator and stuff, the politics from the senators and stuff like that, pushing on the military made them look bad. So they were willing to help and do a little here and there to help the military look better, that they were trying to be fair and stuff to women and men, blah, blah, blah. And it was the government that was forcing their point of view on the military. See, it's the same thing. It's like two different branches of politics. One's military and one's the government. See what I mean? So them button heads is a little different than
Both are equally fucked at some level at some point.
Yeah, they want to screw everybody, but only as long as they win, either one. As long as the military wins or politics, the politicians win. So basically, this was all surrounded around a military base and some things that happened with this general and his people and his group of people. So they didn't want anything to do with it. They're real military.
A Few Good Men. This is not like it's not a horrible movie. There's elements, an excellent cast, but it's not as cohesive and solid as A Few Good Men.
Yeah, when it comes to rules and regulations, and certain things that they didn't have exactly what was supposed to be done the way it would be done. If you're a military person watching it, you would know the differences. You would know that that would never happen. Like having a dog on a submarine, stuff like that. Like you saw, what was it, Hunt for Red October or something? They had a beagle or something, which would never happen. But
Crimson Tide had the dog.
Oh, Crimson Tide, whatever it was. But I knew that would never happen. But the thing is,
hold on. In late 90s with an old captain like that, I could see it happening, especially with some of the older sub brass that was there in the early 90s. Or
One Last Hurrah.
80s. Yeah.
Well, I don't think it would ever happen, but that's a military brat. But the scene where she is when we find out why she was such a slut and why she wanted to embarrass her dad, which was the general, when we find out what happened to her through her psychiatrist, a lot of people, some critics said that they thought the graphic nature of that scene was unsettling and that they didn't think it was really necessary to put it in the movie. To me, I'm glad they did it because it helped me understand why she was basically a nut, wanting to get revenge against her father because she blamed her father for not letting her get justice. Basically, he made her shut up and not be able to talk about it. So she held it all in, and she just wanted revenge, basically, for what had happened to her. But I thought the scene was needed, and I'm glad they put it in there. I think it made the movie better. But a lot of people,
it was brutal.
Yeah, it was a brutal scene. But to me, it made me realize why she was who she was. Just like we always talk about when we start out young, we do dumb, frivolous, stupid shit. We make bad decisions. We hang out with the wrong people. We drink too much, or we eat too much, or we do drugs, or we just make bad choices. But as you get older, you learn, well, I'm not going to do that because I'm going to lose my job or whatever. You start having consequences for your actions and you learn. Most people, I'd say 90% of people grow up and realize, I don't want to live that life. I want to have a family. I want to have a house. I want to have someone I love, and I want to have children. And then you try to do the same thing with your kid to teach them the way your parents tried with you. It's the same thing over and over again. But I just thought that they did a really good job in this movie to try to show us the character arc for the different characters. And I loved it. I thought it was very well done. I thought the actors were very good at the jobs that they decided to take, for these characters. All of them, because there was a lot. There was Timothy Hutton. There was James Woods. What was the name of the actor again that played the general?
That would be
Cromwell. That was, yeah.
Oh, he was
James
good.
Cromwell.
And then that guy too, the actor that played his aide, I mean, he was kick ass for his part. I mean, there was just a lot of really good actors in this movie. I mean, it was
Not William Goldman. Clarence Williams.
yeah, he was so good. I mean, some of the scenes I got goosebumps because I felt for him. You know, I could understand the endearment that he had and the respect that he had for the general and being at his side for so long. And even the therapist, you know, the psychotherapist for the general's daughter after what happened to her when she was young, he was great. You know what I'm saying? It was so much rich acting experience in this movie. It just gave me goosebumps. It was so good. A couple times I was near tears, you know, wanting to cry because I could feel the emotion between the characters and how upset I got and how I felt for the daughter when I found out what actually happened to her. Now, I probably wouldn't myself personally went to the extreme that she did to embarrass him, right? When she called him on the phone and wanted to come see her so he could see her all sprawled out naked. Okay. And to kind of give him an idea of what she went through and why she was where she was, because she was at her wit's end trying to get her dad to empathize with what she went through, but he just wouldn't because he was a general. He wasn't going to show that because that's what they do. They train you to not give up information if you're ever captured. You know, if you get your fingernails pulled out or beat, raped, nearly drowned or whatever it is they do to you, to not give out the information. And that's where he was.
Military isn't about feelings.
Yeah.
No.
So that's what made it so hard is to see that and feel bad for her. You know, you wanted to help her, but you know, she was wanting something that he couldn't give her.
This movie for me felt like they had a really good cast, but I just didn't like the characters. Like John Travolta's character, not a bad character in the script, but it reminds me of like this, you're rubbing shoulders with people in a club that you don't belong to. And Travolta played a pretty interesting character because he should have never made it to Chief Warrant Officer 3. If you're going to be WO, if you're going to be a warrant officer, you're supposed to have a fucking college degree. And that's been in place for years, decades. And this movie's from 99. Not a whole lot changed in the few years that I had been out of active duty when this movie came out. Mm-hmm. And that's really just how it is. You're supposed to have a degree. And him and James Woods had their fencing discussion in the first act. And that was the first time in a movie that I actually liked what I saw on screen. James Woods and him had genuine good banter. The script wasn't completely.
Yeah, it's hard not to have chemistry with James Woods. I mean, he's just a phenomenal actor. I don't care what he's in. If he's fighting vampires or fighting army guys.
Wait, you know about John Carpenter's Vampires movie with James Woods in it?
Mm-hmm. I love
it's a great movie.
I'm a vampire person.
We will have
not as good as the book, but
I just love James
entertaining.
Woods. But I like Madeline Stowe too, but she's not a typical I'm the girl actress. You know what I mean?
I like
her characters are always very strong.
I like her as an actor. I did not like her in this movie because she was too much of a distraction. The sexual frustration in this movie between her and Travolta in the first and second act.
That's great. I liked it.
I didn't. I thought it distracted way too much from the main topic at hand, which is
to me,
fucking people.
The tension between the two. Okay, this is another reason why I could tell was more than one person writing the script. The tension and the personality clash between the two detectives, because you could tell they had a past experience because of it, definitely was written by one of the writers. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the story around them about what they were solving was written by someone else. You could definitely tell that in the script. Okay.
That's part of the jarring disconnect that I felt.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. That was part of the disconnect for the puzzle pieces didn't fit because it didn't flow like it should if it was one writer. See, so that definitely made me. That's part of the reason why I was like, it had to have more than one writer because these two did not agree on how this was supposed to go together. But it wasn't from editing. You definitely see. This is not an editing problem. This was definitely from the writing.
The script, the finished product
You definitely
script.
tell.
It just like it. I don't have a problem with Stowe and Travolta having chemistry on screen. I welcome it. What I have problem with is the fucking focus of the fucking movie, and that this is like going to be the number 2 lowest scoring film I've reviewed with you. Oddly enough, it's another military film, but it's just this for me. The focus should have either, can we have a fat cow that John Travolta doesn't get a hard on when he looks at her? Or can we have like just no murder mystery here and let these two shag with impunity and just like have 90 minutes of fucking camera spooling off with whatever else could go on around them? But that didn't really belong in the movie. And
well,
it
took away from the actual when the two detectives. Okay, the thing is that they were supposed to be two really good detectives, thinking, analyzing what they're seeing, and bringing in the information, putting it together to solve it, right?
And you
but
can see that
instead of them doing that, they were constantly bickering at each other. And him, basically, it was him more. That's what I didn't like. It was the fact that they made him like some kind of a pissed off ex-boyfriend. You know what I mean? And I didn't like.
He was making snarky bullshit about the major that she was fucking before engaged to, or
he
whatever.
Was jealous, and it made him look like a petty, jealous ex-lover. And I didn't like that part of it. To me, they dragged it on too long. Every so often, having a snippet put into a topic while they were discussing the what they were looking at, right? That would have been fine, but it was like inappropriate because it was like more and more and more of it. I don't know. So that part I didn't like. That took me out of the drama behind them trying to solve a case. That I didn't like.
This, like the entire thing of the captain, the young daughter, having to have not one traumatic scene, 2 traumatic scenes. Like, we don't need just like one traumatic sexual event with this lady. We need to have multiple because that'll sell. We're like 7 years
and
away.
The fact that she was totally naked. She was 100% naked.
Zoomed out completely, no details, but you can tell she's naked. That's great. That absolutely not great. That's fucking sarcasm.
Well, when they were ripping her clothes off, and you could see her boobs jiggling, you could see them
clarified
her underwear and all that. That was very graphic. I can see why some of the people that watched it said that it was just more over the top. They didn't need to put in that much. Now they didn't really even show penetration or anything like. They didn't have to. Okay, they just showed the guy between her legs and that kind of stuff, and that was it. But it was sad and heartbreaking. So I was crying. I got emotional over it because it was heartbreaking to see that. But I think I needed to see it as a person viewing this movie to understand where she was at and why she was adamant to hurt her dad, because she was so upset and she knew he was running for office and he was going to push the fact that women should be involved in these things, and she didn't agree. And I thought that was a good thing. And I think that's one reason why the U.S. Army said they would not help with this movie by letting them use the air base or anything like that.
Yeah, they had to make a military spot in the world in Georgia to do the filming, which I don't think they filmed even in Georgia completely, but they made a completely fictitious base for their PSYOP bullshit that she was saying that she was in charge of. And in my opinion, I would think that the U.S. Army would not put a multiple rape victim in charge of such a sensitive fucking operation.
But they wouldn't. That's why they swept it under the rug. See, that's the whole thing.
The whole thing, I get it, but like, at what point do you just stop trying to like go to Reveille and mealtime with the other troops and boss people around, at what time do you chalk up like, I have no more emotional hit points left, I need to go heal up and go fix myself before I become a liability to those around me, and I become Jessica Ryan or Saving Private Ryan Part 1. This entire fucking film just pressed every bullshit button in my goddamn head, and I can't stand
I can see it.
that from the first.
It's a
fucking
pastiche of like 80s and 90s cliches.
Yeah, like all
you got some good elements and stuff, but like they don't gel together properly. It's just there's something off about it.
Hey, T-Virus Terrence, how you doing, sir? Mr. Mac Thompson comes in here. Good to see you too here today. He's getting ready to probably head off. He's going to go see Wolverine and Deadpool for the 4th time in an IMAX.
Oh, I didn't see it in IMAX. I didn't have anything that nice where I'm at, but man, I would loved it. I thought it was good. I'm gonna watch it again. My daughter saw it with her friend. We talked about it this morning. It was funny. We laughed a lot. So I don't want to give anything away for people who might be watching, but I loved it. If you like Deadpool.
Lonely Man in Arkansas, you better move now. You better make your move now on Sweet Young Thing, because I believe Janet is looking at riders and other associated moving vehicles. She's tired. 40 minutes to go get a bottle of wine. Fuck this.
Yeah, it was tough. We don't have, because in New Orleans, I could go 3 blocks from my house, and I could sit in a theater, watch a great movie at IMAX, and have an alcoholic beverage. But while I was watching the movie, I don't have anything like that here. There's nothing.
With this film, I'm sorry.
Tri-counties suck. Just gonna say.
I know. It does, but
state might be free, but tri-counties don't make it any better.
No.
Yeah, there's still dry counties in the United States, believe it or not.
I like Cromwell. In my opinion, he's an absolute failure of a man, not even of like an army boss, officer bullshit, whatever he might hold in this esteemed fucking miserable universe that all these fucks live in. But yeah. Cromwell is such a fucking failure in this movie because he failed to protect his daughter on numerous times.
Well, the whole thing is, what was sad to me was the fact that there was nothing anyone could have done when it happened. Okay. Except the guys that were doing it. Okay. When the helicopter came over, they all scrambled. They all left, but they left her there. Okay. And the 2 young men, that's when I got emotional. I started to cry when he pulled out that blanket to put over her, and her wrists were all cut up and everything. It was really horrible. It was a horrible scene. I understood everything that she was going through after that when I saw that. So to me, that changed her character arc from being a total bitch and just wanting to ruin everyone to the person that was dying for her dad to accept what had happened to her and admit that it happened and help her get the people, to get revenge, which he could have done. He was a fucking general. You know what I'm saying? So I understood her whole thing after that changed for me. And then I wanted to know why someone murdered her. And I never thought it was her father. That never crossed my mind. So when that one scene came up where Madeline Stowe had already went to see that one young man in the thing, and she was to ask because she knew that one person's name was in the records, right? And she had to find out who else was there that was involved in her rape. That started this whole mess, this crash coursed, to her death, basically, to her murder. And as she was sitting there, and she did really good, because remember the other guy, her ex-boyfriend or whatever, John Travolta's character, said she wasn't very good bluffing. She wasn't very good at a bluffer, right? Playing poker or whatever, because he could see right through it. Now, maybe he could, but other people couldn't, because she sat there and she was very not smug or a bitch or anything. And she was just nonchalantly saying, we've had great advances in forensics and all this stuff. And then when she pulled out the bag and she said, and she threw it and set it down beside him, and he looked at it and he's like, what is that? And he says, that's hers, isn't it? Okay. The look on his face changed, and he realized that it was her underwear that was around her throat when they found her body. And he knew that the DNA of anyone who touched her underwear was on there, because today they can get you for that, even years and years, 20, 40 years later. You know what I mean? And
which is really funny because one of my best friends was murdered in 1998.
Mhm.
And the guy that they arrested was set free in 2007 because the DNA evidence was inconclusive, even though they pulled the fucking blood splatters off the shoes.
Mhm.
They disassembled the
Same,
shoes to get
same
the
thing with the O.J. Simpson case. Both the murder victim's blood splatter was on his shoes, but he got away with it. So it proved that it was their blood. So DNA does work, but it may not, if they have a crooked lawyer or a crooked judge or whatever, somebody could get away with it. But the young man just knew that his DNA was on her underwear that was around her throat. And he gave up the names. He told her where to get the information. And then she took the bag and she chucked it into the trash. And he was like, what are you doing? You know, and she realized, she goes, oh, I just bought those today. No big deal. She bluffed him. The whole thing was a bluff. She was just seeing what she could get. So she was good at her freaking job as a detective to put the puzzle together. So them two, even though they had the past and they fought like cats and dogs and they weren't meant to be together. That's why they weren't, you know what I mean? That type of thing. They were good at their jobs. They figured out this whole twisted mess. And boy, when it came to that part, when the whole thing, when he went and saw his daughter, you know, laying there in that position the same way she was when they found her years earlier, you know, 7 years earlier. When I got choked up because the two young Army guys, you could tell they were really young. I mean, the guy didn't even look 20 that pulled the blanket out to cover her up when he found her, and they were calling the helicopter to come and evac her out. And she looked like shit. I mean, she was beat up. I mean, she was in bad shape. You could definitely tell. And it was sad. It was heartbreaking because there was no way of knowing who these guys were. They had makeup on. They were wearing the full military garb with the to hide out, you know, with all the stuff like my dad would wear. My dad had all that gear because that's what he did. Jungle survival, you hide. You're out there amongst the people, but they don't even know you're there. That type of thing. Making traps and that kind of stuff. I loved all of that because that reminded me so much of stuff that my dad would take me out and see that. And he would take Sandy and I out in the woods, and he would have pieces of balsa wood, okay? And he would have lights, you know, those flash bulbs that go in those things which you used to take pictures, and it had the little tiny light bulbs, and he would hook them with 2 wires. He'd have it sticking up a little bit out of the ground, and then he would put the wires on each side of the balsa wood. So if you stepped on it, they touched together, the flash bulb would go off. Okay, he taught me how to do that. And he would say, now, instead of a bomb or a grenade, I'm putting this light bulb on here, and I'm going to hide them out here. And I want you to go out and see if you can make it through and get these certain little, like, he'd have like string, you know, like red, green, or yellow, and we'd have to get different colors. And he would tell us, I want you to go out and I want you to find this one thing. And we'd have to go search and find things, you know, in the woods. And and if we saw a flashlight go off, then we died. We got blown up. You know, he would do stuff like that with us. He had 5 daughters, but I remember him doing that. And I did that for show and tell one year. I think it was 1st grade, where I showed him how you could make your own bomb. That's what I said. And the teacher was like, what do you mean? I said, well, you just take this, that, and the other, and you pretend this light bulb is a grenade. And this is how you could, you know, booby trap your yard to keep the bad guys from coming. And she was like, she sent a note home with me to my parents that don't let her bring stuff like this to school. So I didn't get in trouble or anything because I didn't realize it wasn't a good thing to do, but I didn't do it again after that. So it's just certain things inappropriate. But you know, that's what they were doing. That place at the very end when they had Timothy Hutton out there, that's what that was. It was a training place like my dad would take us to show us how to make parachute tents, you know, using their parachute that when you leaped out of the plane, you landed. He showed us how to put this pole, get a pole, put it up, and you can make your parachute into a tent to keep you, dry in the jungle or wherever it is that you landed, things like that. So I got to do all that kind of stuff. I was lucky, but I could see it. Even though they didn't have a professional helping them from the military. They had somebody that knew something about survival, because a lot of that stuff sure looked legitimate to me, even though it wasn't. You know what I mean? So, but it was good. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a
Now,
very
this was
intricate to
this
the
was
end.
The tent pegs and the tent line was accurate too,
Yeah, definitely. That
which
was
was
parachute.
a nice little detail.
That was
Well,
parachute.
she had parachute cord around her, but the actual line
Yeah,
was just a regular nylon line.
yeah.
What
Around
she was
her
strangled
neck.
with was the
Yeah,
550 cord.
yeah. It looked like parachute cord around the underwear and stuff around her neck. So
Well, I made a mistake earlier, and that mistake is that I said that the general's daughter had 3 writers, and I'm kind of wrong, although I'm right.
it was two.
Nelson DeMille wrote the novel originally for it,
Mhm.
and he made that, and it was made into a major motion picture with John Travolta. However, there was 2 grifters named Christopher Bertolini and William Goldman, and Bertolini was a writer for 3 movies he's credited for: 1, General Daughter; 2, Mendoza's War, which has a 3.8 on IMDb,
Mhm.
and the 2011 failure of Battle Los Angeles, which one of these days we'll study that and figure out where the fuck that movie went wrong. But that's just, that movie has some nice special effects, but that's it. Good
Yeah,
cast.
You got to
crappy.
remember too, whoever when they were writing it, I think that they had Michael Douglas Jr. or whatever, the son of what was his name? I'm trying to remember. Was it Michael Douglas?
Kirk Douglas.
Kirk Douglas, I think, but it had Michael Douglas in mind for the character that John Travolta played.
So they had 5 or 6 people that they wanted to try to rope into this, and all of them said no.
John Cusack was supposed to be in there too as Brenner, I think.
No, but I'm talking about for John Travolta's character's part.
Yeah.
Okay, so
the lead
when
actor
they wrote it,
John
that's who they were
people.
trying to get. And then when John Travolta knew that he got the part, he wanted
his wife.
He wanted his wife to play his love interest, the other detective, but they already said no, they wanted Madeline Stowe. So but I thought it worked out pretty good. I thought she was I just think she's a good actress. She's just not the typical bimbo actress. I don't know if that makes any sense, but she's very analytical about her parts.
She played with what she was given, she did pretty good. It's just the fact that she felt like, to me, she was too much of a love interest in a movie where there was no need for a love interest. We needed I needed
Not with the subject matter, no.
No.
Yeah, all they had to do was have 1 or 2 little things between the two about, well, that's why I'm not with you anymore. Something like that. That was it. And that was enough to let you know that they were past lovers, that part. To me, there was too much banter when it came to that stuff, when they were supposed to be focusing on who done it, a big one, the general, the number 1 person on a base, and he was a military guy, and he should have thought about it that way. You know what I mean? But he didn't. It's more focused on his relationship with her.
In this movie.
Yeah, so that right there did take me out a couple times. That I thought it was like a little over the top. And then when she got assaulted by that one guy, and he was holding her down, and he was wearing the ring on his finger. She recognized the ring because she's a detective. She's gonna be a little more perceptive on different things about the person. That he was white and that he was young and his height and all these different things, and the sound of his voice. So I don't know. I just thought that was a little stupid, and the way he treated her. When John Travolta was like freaked out over it. I can understand why he would be, but she's a detective. I mean, I'm sure that wasn't the only time she's ever been shoved or pushed aside or whatever. She wasn't shot or knifed or anything. She was just pushed to the ground, basically, roughed up. Totally different than a different type of an assault. So I don't know. I just thought, to me, they made him too wimpish toward her. You know what I mean? they took his balls away a little bit when it came to her character. When he was a total asshole, he would get up in the face of a general, but he wouldn't do that with her. I don't know. It was lopsided for his temperament.
It was a product of the times. That's why we got the current stuff now in films.
Yeah, I don't know, but I just thought that was a little. Maybe it's because I'm a military brat too. You know, the number one person to be afraid of on a base, if you're in the military, would be the general.
It had good actors. There was a couple of scenes that were good. Dialogue was excellent in those scenes too. But
Yeah.
Is it like the Kane Mutiny or Breaker Morant or A Few Good Men? No.
Mhm.
It could have been.
This movie
It just
had a lot
didn't
of,
hit the mark.
It had a lot
I-
of potential.
it had so much potential. That's the frustrating part about the movie for me, is that I'm watching it and I'm checking out of it because I'm just seeing like this is like me trying to watch the movie Buffalo Soldiers, where this doesn't need to be a military film. This just could be any film about a fucked up set of people that are related, and because of the cadre they're in, because of the working class they're in, most other people don't have access to do what they do or behave like they behave. Like the interaction between the sheriff and Travolta. This is not. I didn't even need all that.
Yeah.
We've already established he's a chief warrant officer. This is military matter. I don't need to have some Tom, Dick, or Harry from fucking local yokel badge department try to come in here and say,
Yeah,
"Oh,
that
the real
I didn't
killer."
understand the whole thing with was it on a base or was it off a base? See, the murder. See, I thought the murder was on a base on
Yeah, I
the
thought it was too.
training area for
That's
the
still military base.
soldiers. Yeah. So if that's a fact, then MPs would have handled it. No
Yeah, and
sheriff or do hunk guy from outside of the base would even be allowed in. So that threw me for a loop. It was like what? Okay, this is the only thing I could think, and I may be totally off, but remember I told you many times on a set you have all these executive producers, and they all have those fancy chairs behind the director, and they're always set up. They have like 8 or 9 chairs, so that any of them can come in and see what's going on during the whole day of filming, and they have the right to sit and bring their friends or whatever. Well, sometimes they come in and say, "Hey, this is my girlfriend, or this is my mom, and I want to put her in a scene." So somebody wanted the guy that played the sheriff or whatever in this movie, so they just added him, which they didn't need. They should have made him some kind of a military person or something. I don't know. To me, this or a senator, a senator that's running for office, and hey, if you want funding, you gotta let me do this, that, and the other. Something like they did with G.I. Jane.
The only thing I can think of is that they have the banter between the sheriff and Travolta there just so they can have the later amazing exchange between James Woods and John Travolta, talking about how smart they are and how much you're part of the UCMJ. You don't deserve civilian authorities or procedure. You're military, fucker. And that's the only thing I could think of. But it was still a waste.
Didn't belong in it. It didn't belong in this movie. But
there's like 3 scenes with them, and none of them required it. This movie pontificated and stalled out too much, and then afterwards they focused on the wrong things. The lack of military bearing. I don't need military historical accuracy like Tom Clancy, but I at least need this to either make up its mind and allow it to be believable or fun.
Now, the one part that I thought was believable was when he did interview the son of the sheriff, because the son of the sheriff was having a sexual relationship with the general's daughter. Now that made sense, but the fact that the sheriff showed up though, and it was in his uniform and shit. See, that's what I was like, I thought she was murdered on the base. Yeah. In my mind, I'm trying to understand what purpose the sheriff actually had, which he did not have any purpose,
None.
really, except that his son. Now, if he wanted to show up and say, "Hey, why are you harassing my son?" or something like that, then it would have been different. But he can't just drive on the base. That's another thing. Everyone was getting checked. Madeline Stowe got checked. All the people driving in and off the base to look at different things, they were getting checked with their IDs, because that's what you do on a military base. So the sheriff can't just drive in anytime he wants. I don't know. I just thought it was stupid. That part of it was really dumb to me.
And I mean, parts of this movie worked. The minority of this movie worked together, like we've already discussed. It was a script writing that just doesn't mesh, and I feel like the novel might have been a lot better. Maybe I need to read the novel, but I really don't want to. And
yeah, this movie didn't make me want to go out and buy the book like Game of Thrones or something. It wasn't like, or Lord of the Rings.
No, and Peter Menzies Jr. was the cinematographer for it, and I didn't like the way he particularly did a lot of the shots in this movie, because a lot of them felt like as soon as they had the minimum requirements to shoot, they just ran with it, and it felt like more of a TV movie or of a high budget TV series than a feature film. Even though this guy's got great cinematography work, he did Die Hard with a Vengeance. He did Shooter in 2007. He was involved with the TV series The Right Stuff that came out in 2020. So he's got good accreditations, but it just feels like he wasn't given enough.
And how many movies had John Travolta done before he did this one?
Lots.
Okay. Yes, he was already a star. Was he on the outs, starting to go downhill?
He's kind of like in that phase where I'm a star. I don't have to put effort into shit. And
but see,
there was like Battlefield Earth, and then there was this, and then there was
he did Battlefield Earth.
What was the other military movie that he did?
Okay, well, that might be why he took this script, because anyone who sat down and read the script and you saw the dialogue between him and his ex, in the middle of driving around talking about the crime and there was a lot of twists and turns. See, this had a really good crime. It was a lot of fingers and a lot of people involved. That's why the intrigue between the dialogue between James Woods.
Basic. That was the movie that I was thinking of.
Yep.
Yeah, it was really, really good. I mean, it was very intense and believable. But then you'd have the next dialogue with the next person was like, why in the hell did he even have to talk to that person? It just didn't mesh very well on some of that part when they were trying
here's the turning point for John Travolta. Look Who's Talking in 1989. He got his gusto back in 89. And then he does a few movies which really don't score well.
I didn't see any of those.
And then in
Pulp Fiction brought him back up again, I thought.
94, he had Pulp Fiction, and then he does another movie, we'll have to talk about that film, White Man's Burden. We got to talk about that someday.
Wasn't Good Shorty good?
Anyway.
I didn't see it, so I don't know.
I didn't like it. It's an Uma Thurman film, I believe, with John Travolta.
Okay.
It's okay. Broken Arrow, which is a John Woo movie. We need to do Woo month sometime. Phenomenon. Michael.
Was he the angel in that one?
Yep.
Okay, I saw that one then. But I didn't.
Michael, and then
Face Off was kick ass. So that was great.
John Woo. John Woo made that movie, not John Travolta.
Good. It was a good movie.
The Boy in the Plastic Bubble.
But see, I was just surprised that he took this movie after reading the script, because there was so many plot holes in it and stuff.
Okay, hold on here.
They must have paid him really good.
In 98, we have this garbage fucking army movie that everybody seems to have a hard on for, called Thin Red Line.
I've never seen it. So
if you want to waste your fucking 2 hours like I felt like I wasted today, we'll watch the Thin Red Line. I absolutely hate that movie.
I never saw that. I never saw it. I never saw the civil action. There's a lot of movies on that list I've never seen.
Narration and thin red line footage do not match up. Like, you know how my camera will show me, but then my mouth, you'll hear something and then my mouth moves 10 seconds later.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thin red line throughout the entire goddamn film. And it goes like 45 fucking minutes too goddamn long. And this is the start of his shithole downhill slide.
Oh, okay. See, Battlefield Earth was, I heard it was
accurate. IMDb is right for once. They're at a 2.5.
Yeah.
Congrats to IMDb for getting it right. Swordfish wasn't a bad movie. I liked it. And
I love Swordfish.
Don't see Battlefield Earth, just read Dianetics.
Is Swordfish the one with Hugh Jackman?
Yeah.
Remember I was talking about that? Damn. Yeah. Getting to see him in a towel up on top of there with Halle Berry. I mean, it was a good movie. And I only watched it because it had Hugh Jackman in it. So he was hot.
Gentlemen of Arkansas, if you wish to keep Janet within your local zip code, what you need to do is dress up like
high school gym teachers.
Yeah. Play golf, get some balls on top of your trailer wearing a towel. Ooh, that was good.
Damn.
The Punishers, like I hated that.
That was good too. He was in a bunch of good movies. I can't believe he took this movie. I mean, well, you know what? Maybe some of the scenes he didn't really realize were going to be that bad or something. I don't know. Maybe the script
felt
seemed
like
better.
A fucking TV movie that was on some Wednesday night that nobody remembers. And
I never saw Bad Actress either.
I wanted to say this movie had like an interesting concept to it, but I think I'm thinking about a different film with Meg Ryan and Denzel Washington. I wanted to like Ladder 49. I wanted to like Be Cool because that's the sequel to Get Shorty. Bad Actress, I would review that entire series. You all know I crush on Christy. Dropping her fucking.
Yeah, I
name.
never saw that.
This is the best version of Kirstie Alley we got because we got her at her most absolute vulnerable, and she's funny as shit. She's funny as fuck in that show, and it's just maybe some people are like, "Oh my god, Bruce, you find the fat shaming humor to be funny?" Yeah, I found it really fucking funny, and it was great.
Well, she wouldn't have been in it if she thought it was degrading.
Yeah, she used it as a motivating factor to improve herself.
Yeah, I think so.
Bolt. He was in Bolt.
Though.
And a few of us are from a different generation than the current generation of film goers.
Yeah, she was gorgeous.
Yeah,
post 95, it's a different vibe.
Yeah, but you know what? I really couldn't believe that when I saw Kirstie Alley in a couple of things when she was heavy, I couldn't believe it was the same one that played that young Vulcan in Star Trek. I was really surprised because to me she didn't look like the same person.
Not everybody has their genetics, Janet. Some girls grow into their titties.
No, I mean she just didn't look the same. She was really young when she made the Star Trek movie though.
She was the audience character in Star Trek II Wrath of Khan.
Mm-hmm.
She really was. I mean, this is ravishing as she is, in my opinion.
I love her too. Both of those actors. That's some good actors. Is this from her show?
This is her show called Christie from 2013.
Oh, I never saw it either.
John Travolta played Mickey.
Whoa, Travolta with hair. Good God.
Well, it was a toupee, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Weave or whatever.
But you've got these really good things that he's been in.
That's my earbud.
Oh no, earbud's gone. I just can't stand the fact that like he did this movie. This movie is such a frustrating.
To me, the movie really wasn't that bad. It was just some of the it was like I said, it had two different writers. It was like something was written by one person and some was written by someone else. It didn't flow, like
it was in between like let's say Top Gun, like you mentioned earlier. Top Gun, it was a good action flick, but it had military advisors and it was pretty believable. And then you got like Navy SEALs, which was just like pure 80s, 90s schlock. action adventure, but it was fun.
Mm-hmm.
And they were trying to do the over the top action and meld this weird like thriller mystery shit into it.
A lot of it was, to me, a lot of this script seemed forced. It was like somebody threatened someone else. Well, this has to be in it. You know, I don't know, something like that. I don't know. I wasn't involved in it, but it just seemed, some of the parts seemed forced. Like that movie Powder. Okay, I really liked it, but the whole thing would have been so much better if the director would have listened to other people. You know what I'm saying? It was like the director wanted everybody to see his vision only. He didn't take anybody's input at all to change where he was trying to force it to go, when it could have had so much more people wanting to watch it over and over again with a happy ending. But that's not what he wanted. He wanted him to have enlightenment or whatever it was. Yeah. So, yeah. And sometimes it hurts a movie because the director is like stuck up or whatever and doesn't want to listen to anyone else. So, but this one,
feet first like and the wood chipper.
The director was letting the writers have more say over the movie than him. I don't know if you guys see it that way or not, but to me, that's because it was kind of jumbled when it came to some of the parts, the way they put together. And honestly, this had a really good editor because they did the very best they could with the story and to make it flow as best as they could, from what I could tell.
Yeah, could you imagine if it was like a crap editor?
Oh man, it would have been. We wouldn't have been able to make heads or tails of any of it. I mean, honestly. So this did have a good editor, whoever it was. You could tell they did the best they could with the pieces they had to piece it together, because it really did have a lot of twists and turns in it. I couldn't figure out who it was. I honestly thought it was going to be the General's aide.
I thought it was General's aide. I thought it was the General's aide. There was other times where I thought it'd be somebody else, but I kept coming back to that. And then at the very end, when he's starting to confess things, and then you get the James Cromwell slight backhanded confession there, it just, okay, well, that kind of makes sense. You guys are really fucked up. Why? If you were in the civilian world, if these guys were civilian, do you realize how much they would be in a trailer park, alcoholic or using meth? Because they would not survive outside of the military. The military gives those people structure.
And another thing is that any person, regular layman guy or woman or family that saw this movie, what do you think they think now about the military?
There's a reason why the Army refused to have anything to do with this.
Yeah, any normal people that didn't have any relatives or knew anyone that was in the military saw this and saw how the military runs things. Shit, I wouldn't trust the military for nothing. See, so I don't know. It was kind of scary when you think about it that way for a person who wouldn't know anything about it. Wow, I can't believe that they have that much power. They can just, it's like they rule with an iron fist, basically, and which is what they portrayed this guy as. Even his own daughter was just a piece of meat to be pushed aside.
A crap father who was a crap general who was trying to maintain his image.
He didn't
and power.
He didn't do anything to help his wife. She passed. And then he doesn't do anything to help his daughter. She has MST 2 times at least that we see in the film. Like, the guy's a goddamn failure.
Yeah.
And he'd be a perfect politician, especially in today's fucking society. They'd hail him as a hero. Look at this man whose family went through numerous trials and tribulations, but he's
stunning and brave.
It would just pinned another star on him. Yeah, it was terrible. And I like that one line though, when Travolta said, I'm going to put that in my report, that you sacrifice your daughter for another star. Basically, I liked it. I thought it was a good line. I mean, this movie had so much potential to be rah, kick some ass, get these badasses out of here, and get her some justice. That's it. That's what I was hoping was going to happen, and it ended up being
at least one frag.
It ended up all being some lame guy that was porking her on the side, cheating on his wife, and he was jealous because she was having sex with all these other people, and it was none of his fucking business. I mean, he had a wife, and a family. I don't know. It just was disgusting. I thought the whole thing was disgusting when you found out who the killer was. And he ended up being a coward and killing himself and trying to take people out with him, you know. I don't know. I just thought, you know, it had a good ending though. It was a good story. It was really juicy, lots of twists and turns. It's just that it's sad because you had people basically fighting each other to have their part of the story be the most important part or something, instead of the overall story being the most important part.
I'll show you the part of the movie I like the best.
It was not the Bouncing Betty.
Actually, it is about Betty.
Not for me. That CGI just, yeah.
Yeah. It's the best part of the movie for me. I didn't say it was good. It's like,
oh, it was intense, I thought. It looked like it was supposed to be 3D, you know?
They tried to make it a 3D, but it doesn't even get the gravitas of a good Canon film. Like, I hate to say that.
Like, if I saw that in 99, maybe. I don't know. There's bad CGI and then there's bad CGI, and this is
when they
the
did
bad
that
bad.
overview, when you go up and you see the naked girl on the ground there, why are we seeing that when she's not there? Say, well, why is that part in there? Say, that was another thing I wanted to ask. Well, is it because he's remembering her there? So they took a memory and put it into the scene.
Yeah, here's the reason why you're doing this. Here's the reason why you failed up to this point. And that's the only thing I think of that why they did that the way they did that. I just
see that to me that was an editing mistake. From what I could tell about the scene that we were watching, it was them three on this training area with the mummies, you know, the dummies all around for shooting and different things like that. Because basically, you're training your soldier to make it through this maze of dangers, and they would have specific things they would have to do, like make it through the minefield, be able to shoot the targets, whichever targets are told to shoot, things like that. And then all of a sudden, they do an aerial shot, and you see her body out. She's not even supposed to be there. She's already at the funeral home and stuff, you know. So I don't know. I thought that was an editing mistake. That one scene that you just showed, it's in the movie, so it made it to the movie. So to me, it didn't. That one thing wasn't supposed to be in that scene, unless it was supposed to be a flashback and he's remembering her or something. I don't know.
I think he's remembering her right before he. Such a fucking. Go ahead, guys. Talk. I'm
sorry. I'm just saying it had so much potential for me because it had a huge group of wonderful actors in it that did great jobs, the best they could with the part that they had. Okay. Had lots of twists and turns. The story was really intriguing. It's just that there was certain things in it that the way that they put it together and the writers put it together, it took away from being drawn in. You're drawn into a character, you're rooting for that character, or you're hating that character like you're supposed to. Because at the beginning, after we saw her change the tire and we started finding out more about her, and then we got to see the porn videos that she made.
The porn videos she made were like that kind of was the gravy on the nasty mashed potatoes I didn't want to eat.
Yeah, that could have been left out. When they stood there and watched some of it, and you saw her grinding on the guy and then beating his face and doing all these different things, we didn't need to see all that stuff. No, now, to me, I needed to see her, what she went through. That scene to me was important, okay, for me as a viewer. But the nasty shit that was going on in that basement, right? I didn't need to see all the detail that they put in. All you had to see was, see the bed and you see her, and then turn it off. We already knew that she was into S&M and bondage and whatever else.
You didn't see the strap-on dick that was the size of a small child?
All that stuff, we didn't need to see all that stuff. But the thing is, that might have been part of the stuff that they were griping about, not just the scene with her. But I got emotional when I watched the scene with him ripping off her clothes and, and out in the middle of nowhere with no help, and she's tied to the ground. She can't move. She can't defend herself. And these guys are acting like animals, basically, cowards.
Yeah. It was super graphic without being super graphic.
They were covered up. They were cowards. They were attacking this woman without even showing them their face, type of thing. And animals. They were animals, basically. So to me, I needed to see that to understand her character and her character arc and why she was where she was in her life. I didn't have to see all the details for the other people. I think the only reason they put so much into that is because they wanted us to see some of the faces of the people, but you could still see the faces without having to show us all the other stuff they were doing. Okay.
The fun thing, the thing I was reading about this from IMDb, talking about the rape scene, director Simon West said, the message is that rape is not sex, it's violence. So it must be violent to show people that. That's what Leslie Stephenson, the actress who suffered through several scenes naked, bound hand and foot, tried to remember during the traumatic shoot. It was horrible for me, but there was no way to avoid it, the actress explains. I don't want to necessarily ever do it again, but an important message could be brought up by it.
Yeah, and I tell people that all the time. Rape isn't sex. It's the brutality of controlling another person. Okay, it's not actually the act of the intercourse that gets some gratification. It's the fact of being able to have total control over another person. Just like when Ted Bundy, the interviews that some documentaries I watched with the guy that was in I don't know what you call the Criminal Minds type character. Like, is that the FBI? I guess
you could say
where
that.
they solve criminal cases.
They're
like
supposed to solve fucking criminal acts, but they don't do that.
This is what they were doing in these interviews that I watched in this documentary. And they went to interview Ted Bundy because they were trying to catch the Green River Killer. And Ted Bundy told them in the interview that you could watch, he said, the next time you find a fresh kill, don't get the body. You stay there, stake it out, and he will come back. Because Ted Bundy, and then he talked about Ted Bundy. Ted Bundy wouldn't tell everyone, but the guy that was interviewing Ted Bundy said that Ted Bundy himself would go back to the women he murdered and had them out in the woods, even when they were falling apart, and he'd touch them and their skin would fall off and stuff. It was so disgusting. And he would put makeup on and brush their hair and have sex with the corpses, the necrophilia part of it. See, it's not even the fact he's having sex, it's the fact that he gets turned on by the gruesome nastiness of it. See, and that's why I think for me as a viewer, to see what she went through, the brutal treatment that she had, the way they treated her and the cowardness of them, not even showing their face. They had makeup and they had their outfits on to hide in the jungle, basically. That part of it, the brutalization of her being, that was the gratification for them, not the sex. You see what I mean? But the sex and the rough way that they did it, the things to her, is what hurt her body. They beating her face and tying her up and ripping up her wrists and stuff and then putting that stuff around her throat and all that. It was the brutalness of it. That is where they got the like he was holding his gun and jacking off on his gun, that animal quality. So that's basically what I got from the scene, and why I understood her her problems she was having in her mind because of what happened to her, and the fact that her father wasn't going to help her. As a general, he could get anything done he needed to find out who these people were, but he didn't. He just went hush. He just pushed his daughter aside, and I could see why she snapped. It was her psychosis. She snapped after that, and all she wanted to do was get revenge against her father because of it. So all of that made sense after that. That's why that scene was important. Now the other stuff, you didn't have to go into so much detail on that. So little things like that, to me, is what hurt the movie more, and it could have been so much better. This could have been a blockbuster, I think, if they'd done it better.
If the guys in girls in the chat want to discuss their gripes or praises about the movie,
Okay.
critiques, go ahead and put your scores and your thoughts of this movie, The General's Daughter, in the chat. Because I need to be distracted from my own thoughts. You know what we're watching next week, don't you?
Mm-mm. You haven't told me yet.
You know Six Nations?
I don't remember. I remember there was a whole bunch of movies plastered,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Oh yeah, that looks good." And then, like,
Is
my
this
brain
the one
farted.
about the documentary type thing?
Nope. That's going to be, I believe, September.
Okay,
when
I'm
you get
excited
back
about
from
that
your
one.
vacation, when you get back
So what
from
are you
your
watching
vacation.
this? What are you watching next Sunday?
Sunday, we are watching Caveman from 1980 with Ringo
Oh,
Starr, Dennis
sweet.
Robert Bob.
Oh yeah, good comedy. Okay, I'm excited about that.
Good
I've
movie
been
for
wanting
once.
to watch that for a while. It's gonna be good.
Been waiting, been discussing this, been talking about it, hemming and hawing over it. It's about fucking time we get into it.
And we
we
need
got-
a
Haven't
comedy.
seen it since the 80s.
Yeah, we
Oh
need
my
a good
God.
comedy.
It was
too.
on like Showtime or HBO. I think it was at my cousin's house.
I saw it on HBO the first time because I'd never even heard of it. And I was like, Ringo Starr was in a movie?
Oh,
that wasn't
you
about
go.
music.
It's
So,
got everything. It's got, dinosaurs, cavemen, hot cave women, dinosaur
and
turds.
Yes, huge
And
dinosaur turd.
it even has gays in it. So see,
Yeah,
they
it's
had
a movie
gay
for
people
everyone.
in movies before
Kissing
they.
ice cubes. It's quality.
It was great.
Matt
From what I-
Thompson points out that lawful evil agencies, or excuse me, law enforcement agencies do that. The FBI is most prominent in doing the wrong things.
Yeah.
Yes, they are. Caveman with Shelley Long is her name. Yeah, classic film. We'll be watching that in Discord next Sunday about.
That's right.
12 o'clock
Shelley
local.
Long is in it. And what's her name? The real good looking Barbara Bach.
Barbara Bach.
Ringo
Ooh,
Starr's
no.
wife. Yeah, she was hot. She was like the our version, I guess, or the later version of Raquel Welch. Right?
I'll take it. I'll allow it.
Yeah, she was very beautiful, or still is. The whole time they've been married, I think she looked really good because I thought it was great. And who was the guy that played the mean caveman? Wasn't he the one that was from Popeye, the movie Popeye?
No, you're talking about Paul Smith, who played the Beast Raban in Dune. The guy you're thinking of is John
He played.
Okay. Who played the big guy that broke the leg and gave it to two different people? That's
John Matuzak.
Oh, okay. Because see, I was thinking.
You guys! Sloth.
Oh, that's the same guy from
Same
there?
guy.
He played Sloth. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
because
later
I just
on-
thought he was great. He was funny, his facial expressions and stuff for the caveman, because they didn't really have to have much dialogue, zug, zug, stuff like that.
7 words in the entire movie. It's awesome.
Oh, it's going to be fun. Yeah, I'm looking forward to having something fun to watch.
So we get to see we got one partial review in the chat. Honestly, I've never seen it. I don't watch depraved shit like that. I don't watch sick depraved shit like that. I don't know you people. This movie.
I've never seen it until today. So
I'd heard we went on a customer's or a viewer or fan's recommendation to watch A General's Daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, okay, I think this is the movie with Meg Ryan and Denzel, which I'm okay with.
No, that was the other one.
That was the other one.
Totally different.
It was not the movie I got. And the movie that I got when I started watching this, I thought it'd go a certain way. And I'm like, okay, well, it's going to be trying to be like Con Air and Face Off. Awesome. Because those are 2 good movies. Those are part of the Nick Cage trilogy of action, which are fucking sacrosanct in action films. But motherfucker, that shit only lasted for 2 minutes after the opening credits. And then we got this half-ass bullshit that was completely wank. Like, this is like this is like offhand masturbation with sandpaper.
No, it wasn't that bad. I've seen way worse movies than this one. It's in a way, it's kind of sad because you had such good powerhouse actors in it.
Yeah.
sets and scenes were really, really good. I thought the intrigue was really good. It's just it's sad to me that it had so much potential and it was just dropped basically. That the director had the opportunity to really make this a really good hit, and for whatever reason, I don't know what was going on with them or not, to not see as it was coming together, because normally the director sits and watches it in the theater, right, with a few other people before it gets put out. And how he could watch this and say that he thought it was a great product, let's send it out and get, become stars or whatever, it's going to be a shining star. To let it go out that way, to me, I just don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense. Some of the two, it was like two different stories going on side by side or something, between the two actors and that story about the general's daughter. I mean, to me, it just had loopholes in it or something. There were pieces of the puzzle that weren't connected. They weren't pushed all the way in. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense or not. I'm trying to explain it the best I can. That's in my head. But to me, it had so much potential. And it's just, it's sad that, with such good scenes, like the one that she went through, to make that scene with all the actors around her and all the aerial shot of her spread out on the grass and the helicopter. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of detail and makeup and prepping and the boom operators and all the stuff they had to have just to do that one scene of the rape. And it was so good. It was so clear and vivid, and it was well done. It was believable. I was in tears basically. Very distraught after watching that one scene, and to see that lost, amongst the jumbled pieces of puzzle, because the director he just lost me after, in some of the scenes. I was like, it wasn't cohesive. You know what I mean? So to me, it was sad to see that, because it had really good.
I think we got like a general consensus here of the lack of a solid script.
Yeah, what was the name of that movie? The one about the Ice King guy that was trying to kill everyone.
Fire and Ice?
Yeah, Fire and Ice. See, that was the same thing. The beautiful work that these people did was just beautiful, breathtaking art, right?
Got the shit out of it.
And then to have the nowhere story, behind it, to me, it was a loss. To me, it had so much potential and it was just dropped for some reason. It's the same kind of a feeling that I have for this one, because it had so much sitting right at your fingertips. It could have been, wow, this is huge, and it ended up being, it's butter,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like the whole interaction between John Travolta and Daniel Von Bargen, who played Chief Yardley.
Yeah, it was just
like, I thought that was going to be more epic than what it was, and I was like, oh, he's got a bit part that could totally be written out.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell? Just stuff in it didn't jive right.
I'm just saying, like, this $50,000 movie with Chuck Norris does a better job. This does a better job of making a human body explode than the bouncing Betty bullshit that we watched in the movie that I did today.
Yeah,
practical effect.
Yeah, the practical effect on the other one was very lopsided.
That this is the Hitman, by the way. It's not a good Chuck Norris movie.
I haven't seen that one, but I recognized the two actors in it, Chuck Norris and the other guy.
It's a fine movie if you just want to watch a fun, enjoyable film. But I would not suggest, if you are wanting to see something different, that you watch The General's Daughter. Six Nations, what's your score, sir?
Oh boy. You don't want to shit on the movie. It wasn't like blatantly horrible to watch.
You give it your score, sir.
My score. Well, it's less than the popular consensus of either like 6 or 7. I give it like a flat 5.3. And it's not because of the actors. Solid group of actors.
Mm-hmm.
It's the writing and how they put it all together. It's just too frenetic and jumbled
Yeah.
to actually get into it. Like you're expecting a courtroom drama or a procedural thriller. Then there's the action, and the action was like cool for a few minutes, but then you're just left hanging like, okay, like where's the rest of this? What's going on here? It's like they took a pastiche of everything that was cool in the 80s and 90s of all these blockbusters or just really good films that people enjoyed, and then kind of threw it together and go, this is our take on all of this. And it didn't quite deliver. It's one of those movies that you got it on Saturday morning, you're cooking breakfast or you're doing your chores, and it's on and it's in the background, and you look, there's a scene that I can dig, cool. And then it just turns into fluff. And then before you know it, you see the rape scene and you're like, dude, this is a fucked up scene. What the hell did I just watch? And then you're left hanging. The ending was impotent too. Like, it was supposed to have closure. We got the bad guy. But no, you didn't. Because the guys that did the initial rape, they're still out there. They didn't get fragged. They didn't get thrown in jail.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, okay,
well, we don't
nobody
really know
won.
what happened to him, and I didn't like that. Yeah, I felt like we got the rug.
Yeah, Jackie, it was okay. It wasn't terrible. It was middle of the road.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The same way.
And if people have discussion, like Jackie says, it was okay, literally. Go ahead, guys, throw it out there. Janet?
Mine, I was going to give it a 5.5 stars.
How many stars?
5 out of 10.
Okay.
Like I normally do. But this is one of the lowest scores I've ever given a movie. I think, no, I gave Cowboy a way lower one. But the thing is that, and it had nothing to do with the acting, because to me, what the actors were handed, they did phenomenal with what they had. Okay. Some of the dialogue was longer than it needed to be. It was like they added a few dumb things, like between the for the relationship stuff, which to me was not needed, in the scene for why they did it. I think they did it for laugh value or something. I don't know. Because to me, this wasn't a movie to have, it wasn't a dark comedy. You know what I mean? It was a drama, thriller. Okay. You didn't need all the slapstick jabs, I don't know. To me, that's why I felt like it was more than one writer, because there was just stuff in there that didn't seem like it was supposed to be there. And that was like, because they were fighting. We're both on the ticket, we're both, our names are going to be side by side and same size as the director, because we are the writers. So my stuff better be in there. I don't want all my stuff edited out, that type of fighting, bickering or whatever. I would like to know more about that if I could, but it definitely wasn't editing. I thought the editing did really good considering the jumbled upness. It was like pieces were put in and they were forced in, and then other ones were left out, not pushed in. I don't know. It was uneven.
Definitely, this movie felt like it was pushed in.
Yeah, it was. It didn't flow. It didn't have a good seam. It was like, it's very bumpy. But the actors weren't the reason for it. I thought they did a great job for the casting part. Did a good job at picking the actors to portray the character. The girl that played the general's daughter, I thought she was excellent.
Leslie
she seemed like a snotty brat for a little bit there, and she was a pretty young, and the part where she was getting abused, and at the end when she's laying there with her eyes open and they're getting ready to lift her up, put her in the helicopter, I was crying. It was just heartbreaking to me. She did a great job. The actress that portrayed the general's daughter.
These cast members here are fucking great.
Yeah, they were good. James Woods was great too for his part.
Yeah,
and being there dead with his head blown off, he was great.
That's the one part about this movie. I've seen a Suicide before.
The cat walking around in his blood. Oh, it was just gross.
I've seen a Suicide before, and I've seen what a 45 can do to a human skull. And I've seen there should be the powder burns there, but the head should have been more exploded. Like, no offense, but I don't want to recognize James Woods after he's done a headshot wound with what I believe is a 45. Maybe I'm wrong, and I just didn't pay attention because I was already checked the fuck out of this movie. But his head should have been like mostly deformed with like a little bit of nose and cheek left that you could tell.
Yeah.
But you have to like gather the teeth up and then try to reassemble a jaw to get a fucking proper ID. That's just my own thought. And that's one of the parts of the movie that I thought was like that's not how that goes.
Well, see,
I mean,
the
it's
thing
not
is,
as bad as
I didn't notice that.
It's
I
not
didn't.
as bad
Bruce, aren't you confusing that for a 9mm? Because like when a 9mm hits the lungs, there's like no torso left.
Oh, I know, right? I mean, there should be no there. We all saw.
Well, how did you know it was a 45?
And if you got that shoulder thing that goes up, my God.
So I mean, this wasn't nearly as graphic as it should have been on that one spot. They made sure to put the graphic shit everywhere else, but the parts that I fucking wanted, which is the goddamn gun scenes, like the fucking suicide and the fucking bouncing fucking Betty.
Yeah.
This shit.
Yeah.
This is the worst fucking movie I've seen since G.I. Jane.
I
And that
thought
movie there
it was sad though when you had them walk up the door and you could hear the music, bam, 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 in the background playing. And then you see the window and it's vibrating. See, they put so much detail in lots of scenes that made it really, really dramatic. And then they ruin it by a piece of dialogue that just didn't fit in it. You know, things like that to me is why I had to give it a 5.5, because the windows vibrating because it was building, because then you could see movement in there, but you didn't know if somebody was stabbing somebody or beating somebody up because it was so loud you couldn't hear. But then all of a sudden you see the cat jump up and it's scratching on the window. What a cute kitty too. They got the kitty to do that, and there was blood all over his little paws. I was like, oh my God, you know, and I didn't know who was going to be dead. And then he busts in the door and they go in and they have to go through the whole house trying to find out where he is with the music just blaring.
Where do you keep your record player at? You know, we got to do the whole tour. Nope, not the bedroom. Nope, not the guest bedroom.
But see, that's
not
what I'm
the guest
saying
bathroom.
though. But the window was vibrating, so you knew the speakers had to be near where the window was. At least you'd think that. And they're going to the house because they don't know who's in there or what the crime is, because all they see is bloody paw prints, and they're following the kitty going back to his daddy, you know, that's dead. And you see the cat go to him and rub it on his leg, just like a real cat, like it was his pet. I just thought that whole scene was really, really well done. You know, so that's what I'm saying. Different scenes were just phenomenal and very intense and pull you in. And then other scenes were like, what? You know, I don't know. I just thought it was sad.
Max Thompson asks, so help me out, guys. Is it better or worse than Steel Magnolias, Dirty Dancing, Sex and the City? Trying to figure the scale here. Okay, those three movies you mentioned, or those three events you mentioned, those don't exist if you were born with a penis and you didn't give a shit about the Olympics, especially this year.
Yeah, I haven't watched the Olympics. I'm not going to.
Don't get me started on that.
We'll do that some other time. But they're all statements. Steel Magnolias, Dirty Dancing, Sex and the City. Only Dirty Dancing.
I never watched Sex and the City.
Only Dirty Dancing is a viable male watch or male event.
Because if I were to watch Sex and the City, it would be for Kim Cattrall, but there's better movies like Split Second and The First Mannequin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was my first experience with Kim Cattrall.
Mine was...
and then there was The Undiscovered Country. Oh, God. Yeah.
Anyway. No, Porky's. When did you see Porky's?
Porky's. Oh, my God. That's right.
Well,
I thought was good.
When I was 11, my mom and dad bring home a stack of Betamax tapes because the local Stars and Stripes video closed down. And so my dad, like after I watched like the first 4 or 5, like the 3 days later, what's this Porky's about? My dad's like, I want you to see that. And I'm like, what? Isn't that movie like a nudie movie? And he's like,
your dad wanted you to watch Porky's at 11?
Yeah, I was 11 years old watching Porky's. I'm like, okay, well, I mean, it's a fun movie, but I'm not really certain if I should be watching this, whatever. And then they wouldn't let me watch the movie that had the various skits in it where the one girl's walking around totally naked as the Playboy.
Oh, yeah, that's talking about her day.
Yeah, day in the life of a nude
too.
model or whatever. And my
Yeah.
parents, they were kind of weird like that, but they let me watch Porky's because it had Kim Cattrall and she was an accredited actress. I don't get
Like
it, but
smelling jock straps.
yeah, yeah. Porky's was definitely an icon. And then,
Yeah.
like, my friend had the
It
Porky's
was
video
fun
game.
too.
We had the Porky's video game on the Atari, and we had to give it away because it just wasn't weird. It was weird.
That was good.
This movie,
Back when video games were just made because movies were made,
yeah,
no matter what it was.
it wasn't no Custard's Revenge, but it was bad. It was not fun. I'll just say that. The third worst movie I've reviewed on this channel is not Spaceballs. It was The Cowboy Way. And the
Yeah.
more I think about that movie,
Spaceballs was the best
I thought you
Star
said
Wars movie compared to
one
Disney.
that I brought in about the cowgirls. I thought you said that was on your lowest, one of the lowest
50.
lists.
that's like at a 50%. That movie improves with every shitty pick. Like, I would rather watch that.
Yeah, I was really sad when we watched the Cowboy Way because my memory of it.
I would say that I don't hate The General's Daughter.
I have a very clear conscience about how I feel about this movie. The second
Like,
movie
there's movies that I hate, but this isn't one of those. This is one of those where I could forget it, or I'll watch it if it's playing. But I'm not going to actively seek it.
A murder mystery should at least make sense. I need
Clue was a murder mystery.
Yeah, that even the C ending, it makes sense in Clue.
Mhm.
The A ending is best, but the C is okay. Spaceballs was great back in the day, but trying to watch it now and critically analyze it is that made that movie painful because I was peeling chrome off a classic, and the more I did it, the less I enjoyed it.
I tell you what, you strap me in a chair and force feed me that for like 24 hours straight, I will be giggling and laughing my ass off. You do that with the Alkalite, and my head's going to go all scanners.
The power of one, the power of two. Sorry.
Yeah, I had never seen Spaceballs until I watched it with you. So
And there's a viable movie under the hood there. It's just
it
movie
wasn't,
isn't as good as I
it could
remember
have been worse. It wasn't the worst movie I've ever seen.
No,
I mean-
that's the third worst movie I've reviewed. It's still a movie I will probably watch again at some point, but I didn't enjoy watching it for critical reasons. I'm going to need Suicide Booth for me and Mac if we are forced to watch The Acolyte.
Well, I've never heard of that one.
That's Star Wars series that just came out and everybody shit on it in the last fucking month to get clicks.
Okay, well, I haven't never heard of it, but I'm excited about watching.
Ignore the Alkalite.
That's
Ignore the
what I'm
Alkalite
saying.
and just watch Space Truckers.
Space Truckers is
Infinitely
good.
better.
I don't want to say this movie is without merit. They got a good cast.
Well, what's your rating?
My rating?
Mhm.
My rating's a 28. It's not as low as G.I. Jane.
Is that out of 100?
Out of 100. 28 out of 100.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty low.
2.5 25 is where I rate G.I. Jane.
So, but what
that-
are you giving the 28 for? I mean, what you thought was worth 28 points?
The amount of money they spent to get this cast together. The cast. This is like the most money you've ever
Like
wasted.
70 million or something like that.
You got John Travolta, Matt Stowe, James Cromwell, Tim Hutton.
That's not very much money considering it was made in 1999. Okay. Or put out. It came out in 1999.
Hold on, Janet. We need to. We're gonna do a quick search on the budget and then the money recouped, which was basically a wash because that
Basically, it paid for itself.
this movie paid for itself with very little else. They budgeted up to $95 million for it, and box office worldwide was almost 150. But they're not including in the budget the marketing.
Mm-hmm.
We just found
Well, the
that out
thing
the last
is,
few actors. They never budget like
I thought it was way better than you did. Okay,
Mhm.
because to me it wasn't the had nothing to do with the actors.
the
you know.
actors and their ability to act, not a problem. I love Mad Stowe. I love Madeline Stowe. She's a great actress. When we review 12 Monkeys, I'll share with you some of my thoughts, which I'll be very happy to see you dress up like Madeline Stowe once again. You always knock it out of the park. It's
Well,
great.
I
It's
love her. I think she's a great actress. I just really like her. I think her style of acting is very dramatic compared to other people, other women, because they, you know, like that's why I loved the one with the other three girls as the prostitutes. Okay, because all of them were such different actresses, and to see them all side by side, acting side by side, I just thought it was great because she was the one level-headed woman out of all of them that actually thought about every detail of what before she did it. You know what I mean? That type of thing. And they just all went off half-cocked, you know, like normal women mostly. So I just like her as an actress for that.
Critical thinker.
Yeah, she thinks before she acts, and she plays characters like that, and I just like it. Even I was looking her up yesterday, and seeing her daughter now that's grown, it looks just like her to me, and I guarantee in some of the clothes that she wore and stuff, it was all because of her mother, you know, the influence of her mother, and she was a strong woman. And but she believes that women can be smart and beautiful and all those things, but she's not a feminist. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense, but to me, she's a real woman, and she's got a head on her shoulders, you know, too, which I think is good because we need more. Like the same thing I said about Gina Davis. To me, Gina Davis is a very smart woman, and her acting ability is really, really good. But she's more playful. She's got more of a playful side of her when she acts compared to Madeline Stowe's characters. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like that one scene when she ran in after she had sex, you know, and you said she glowed because she did, and she did a great job portraying that character from Thelma and Louise, and she did a good. See how much she looks like her mother.
Yeah, she actually has nicer hips than her mom.
Well, the face, their faces, they look so much alike.
Yeah,
and she thinks her mother was a big influence on her. I think.
I'm not upset about it. I think it's great that her and Brian Benben got together and
they're still together.
Daughter.
And you haven't heard anything about them, you know. Mm-hmm. So they have a good, strong relationship, and that takes two people, you know. So I don't know. I just have I admire her as an actress.
He's actually in one of my favorite. Here's the schlock. Dolph Lundgren movies called Dark Angel, or what we know as I Come in Peace. And for those of you that don't know what that movie is, we'll be reviewing that probably in the early part of next year, should I be alive. That's going
to be epic.
What?
I hope we're alive.
Oh, I mean, I'm just saying, like, with God's grace, I'd like to see it with you guys.
If there are actual aliens, that's probably what's going to happen, is that they're going to be harvesting adrenochrome and
something I want
shooting CDs at us.
That's in the chat right now, so that they'll know and they can think about it. I'm going to not be on two shows at the end of August, where the 20, what was it, the 25th, and I think it's the first weekend of August or September. Right, those are the two times I won't be here. But one of the weekends that I'm not going to be here, they're going to watch. What is it? Hundreds of Beavers.
Yes.
Okay, so I want all of you guys in here to know it's going to be like the guys' night. Okay, they're going to have, you guys are all going to be able to watch Hundreds of Beavers and get to review it with the guys, because I won't be here. I won't be able to do it. My service probably won't be very good.
Hundreds of Beavers.
If you would like to super chat titties and beer.
Yeah, because I'm gonna watch you guys. I'll try to watch you. I'll try to watch you while you're on and be in the chat with all of you.
And you're going to be gone. You said this September 1st.
Yeah, I'm going to be gone because I'm going to be house sitting and dog walking because they have two beagles. I'm going to miss. I'm not very good at this. Okay, I'm going to miss the 1st of September and the 20. Is it the 25th? Yeah, the 25th of August.
Okay, so I'll set up Hundreds of Beavers for the 25th of August.
Because that's why when you guys were talking about it, I was like, that's a great thing for you guys to do. You know, have a guys' night, movie night, and do a real manly movie. And I think you guys are going to love this. It's going to be fun to watch all of you talking about it. So it's going to be fun. I think you guys are going to have a great time doing it. And I think the chat will love it.
It sounds good.
So might as well not waste a movie night just because I'm not here. Just make it a man night, you know, movie night for the guys. Testosterone night. I'm excited for you guys. I think
Looking forward to it. I really am. I want to see. I want to see this because
a good movie.
a good movie. It looks like a return.
Something that takes the last 15 years out of the taste out of your mouth.
It looks like a movie you guys are going to love. That's what I think. I don't know if I would enjoy it as much as you guys, but
just the last 10 years have been shit, really. Like,
yeah,
because in 2014, that was when a lot of us were starting to be like, you know, I don't know if I'm really. I think once Infinity's War's done, I think I'm going to be done with Marvel, and because we were starting to see like they were kind of getting the samey-ish. Like Guardians of the Galaxy was a high watermark in my opinion. You had Ragnarok with another high watermark, and then you had Infinity War, and after that, or not Infinity War for me, it was Infinity War, not Endgame. I didn't watch Endgame, but I think the last 10 years of movies have been shit, and I really just I look at like things like Star Wars as resurgence or attempted resurgence because Disney has money, and I feel sorry for the kids of today because they didn't have that. And they didn't have the good ones in theaters. Mm-hmm. They had the fucking.
That's why we're doing what we're doing. Yeah. We're trying to get people to see what they're missing out on. What we used to have.
The first movie we've reviewed that's current. Mm-hmm. We've done this for over 2 years now. And
well, we did Notorious.
Yeah, Notorious, but that was really kind of a different movie because that could have been made in '99 and we would have reviewed it anyway because it was. It's one of those movies that I think everybody needs to see it just to see the level of evil that's in the world. Mm-hmm. And I know that sounds like, Bruce, you're getting on a pulpit. Okay, fine. I am. But I think you guys still need to see it because you need to understand just how fucking insidious the enemy actually is. And when I say the enemy, you can say either like the Bolsheviks or Satanism or whatever it is that's the big bad wolf.
I mean, look at the Olympics. See, the Olympics is proving that movie was right. You know, it's sad.
Socialism. You let it run rampant.
Oh, it's scary.
So I hated this movie for the script and for the way it puppeteered and forced the actors in certain situations. When the actors were just by themselves doing things, like you could tell there was some natural chemistry going on there. If you can't have a good action or good verbal scene with James Woods, you really suck as an actor, I think. Because
and it was good.
He does not only a good job of reading his lines, but he does a good job of empowering the person opposite of him to look good as well. He does a very good job with that. And he's done that for decades. He's done that since fucking Cat's Eye, which is one of my favorite James Wood movies of all time.
I know. Me too. We have to do that. We need to do Cat's Eye too.
Yeah.
That and Videodrome.
Videodrome's great. You know, and
the one with the vampires. We got to do that one sooner or later.
That's probably the worst John Carpenter movie I've ever seen.
I don't care, but I liked it because James Woods was in it, and it was good. I enjoyed it.
I hate agreeing with Red Letter Media, but they were right when they said they do so much to make him look cool in that movie. And then I thought about it. I'm like, I actually really like James Woods. I'm a boomer because I think James Woods is very cool. And it kind of he's great. He's fucking amazing. And then you have this movie, which just the script, it's a 2-speed script. Mm-hmm. And there's not many films that I say that about. This movie is the worst offender in that entire category for me. Another example would be the Kevin Costner movie with Alexandria Paul called American Flyers from 1985. It had a small part for Jennifer Grey before she got famous with Dirty Dancing. And that had a 2-speed script in it as well. Where
I haven't seen that one. So
you see 2 movies with that movie.
Yeah.
It's an okay movie. It's actually going to rate about maybe 55-60%. But
Mhm.
this movie here is the worst offending movie I've ever watched. As far as like, you got good talent, you have possible good sets. You don't have special effects for the shit. Your practical effects department sucks ass. Your fucking
Yeah.
script is garbage. You had good ideas from a book, but you had two guys, one of which wrote fucking The Princess Bride uh, TV series, and he did All the President's Men as a writer. He was a writer for The Princess Bride in 1987. He was a writer for Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid, but you still managed to take William Goldman's script and you run it through a paper shredder with this ass fuck named Nelson DeMille's novel, and
Yeah.
like it was garbage. I've never in my life watched a movie that made me go, "What the fuck?" more in the first 20 minutes than this. And this is the earliest I've checked out of a movie I was supposed to
Yeah.
quote unquote professionally review. Like, this is
Mhm.
going to be going on record. Like, I'm going to keep this on my goddamn channels. I fucking hated this movie, and this is like, I shouldn't hate movies. I shouldn't. But for 2 hours, I gritted my teeth. I'm like, don't go painting your figures. Don't go ignoring this movie. You're going to watch it. You're going to want to discuss it. So I did, and I felt like I was masturbating with sandpaper the whole fucking time.
See, I didn't think it was that bad, but it could have been so much better. I mean, there's other movies I've seen that were way worse than this one. But
So
you know,
watch
you
this
have the
movie
right to not like this movie.
and then pay attention to the actors. And then, like, for James Woods, you go, oh, he did really good in this movie. This movie was but now I'm going to go watch freaking Hercules and listen to some awesome voice acting. Or I'm going to watch Salvador, and it'll be a gritty war drama with photojournalists. And
Yeah.
there's other stuff out there that will draw your attention away from gratuitous rape and poorly written script.
Mhm.
Yeah, that actually kind of where it feels like the focus was. They wanted to make a movie that had some no scenes in it.
Like, it was supposed to make an impact, a social impact, and they dropped the ball on it.
Yeah, because the thing is, I think that what they were trying to do, I haven't read the book, but I'm pretty sure the book is based on
Don't
basically.
forget to take out your trash cans.
Okay, I will. Sorry.
Holy shit.
The thing is, what I think they were trying to do was to get people to see that when you have something traumatic like that, a brutality thing of, either a robbery or anything like that that's brutal, how it affects your mind and causes your life to be different. Just like I said, with all the trafficking and everything, when I get into my political stuff, we have to have the means to help them. We have to have something set aside to help all the people that are traumatized by the crimes because our rising crime. So when you take a person that's been brutally attacked or robbed or saw their family murdered in front of them or whatever the horrible thing that went through, and then just put them back in society and say, oh, well, here's your house and whatever, see ya. And they walk off. What do they think that this person's going to be to society? So that's why when you have a child that's abused since they're young, and then they grow up, they abuse. They become abusers. It's a chain that goes on and on and on. So basically, this movie showed how she dealt with what happened to her, not just simply because of the people that she couldn't get. She didn't know who they were. All she knows is that she went through this, and all she wanted was her dad to admit what happened to her and try to help her with it. You see, it was her reaching out to her father, but because he was a general and he didn't want to hurt the military by saying, well, women shouldn't be coexisting with men in the military and this, that, and the other, that he bypassed his daughter's feelings and her needs for himself and his genre, him wanting to move forward and maybe get another star on his jacket. So basically that's what the story was about. just like Lars and the Real Girl. When I told you I wanted you to watch it, this guy has a sex doll as a girlfriend. You was like, oh, it's a dark comedy. I was like, no, it's about mental health issues basically, and that's what it was. And it was, you know, an indie movie, which I love. I still love those types of movies, but it has a story to be told if you can watch it and be open to listening to what they're trying to tell you. Sometimes you can learn some really good things. And, you know, it affects everyone differently depending on the point of view you have when you go in. Just like if you go to, all three of us would go to church and we'd all sit in the pew together side by side. We're all listening to the same sermon, but when we leave, we'll all remember different things, because when you go to church and someone's preaching to you, you take what you need from it. You see, that's what the whole thing about church is that you take the nutrients you need and use them towards helping yourself. So basically that's what watching
Generally,
you know what I mean? So we're all going to have a different.
sometimes you sit in the pew and then you get the shit smacked out of you because you and your cousin or whatever are horsing around and not really paying attention. And
as an adult, we all absorb different information depending on where we are in our own life. You know, that's why some songs might make you emotional and other ones don't make you happy, because you want to listen to sad songs when you're sad and you want to listen to happy songs when you're happy. It's just a natural thing. It's a natural flow of life, and we all take what we can from the situation. You know, we normally would take what we need, you know, at the moment that we're seeing something. You know what I mean? So we absorb it differently, whether you're a man or a woman or whatever, too. That has effects on what it is that you take out of something that someone else might not, you know, see, or it might not move them the same way it moves someone else. Like you and I rated this way higher, and you're a guy and you rated it higher than Bruce. See, Bruce attached to certain things in the movie and he couldn't get past that. See, you and I were able to step past that because we weren't, that one thing didn't attach to us the way it did to Bruce. See,
and I kind of apologize for the fact of my limited autism or whatever.
No, it's just that you're different, and that's what's good. That's why we should have multiple ways of watching and getting entertainment, through gaming or through music or plays or going to an art museum or watching a movie. That's why it's all out there for us, so we can pick and choose the entertainment. But if nobody's putting any entertainment out, then we have nothing. We have each other, and that's it. And that's why I think the COVID and all the other shit that went on caused us, our groups, to form. And because we cling to each other, because we all have certain things that we like, and we all like the same thing in some areas. See, so that's what made us all become friends. I mean, that wouldn't have happened if it hadn't been with COVID, probably.
I look at this movie and I can see where the possibilities are at. I like part of the things that I saw with the film, but the way the script evolved, it felt like I was watching a crappier version of Powder. And I mean, I don't think we could really get that much worse. That was really just that was a hard watch for me.
Yeah, I know.
There was 7 minutes of that movie I really enjoyed. Like, I'm watching a film and all of a sudden it goes from this crud that's on the bottom of my shoe after a day at work, on my work boot, and then like Lance Hendrickson is in this amazing scene. And I'm just like, stop the movie, give us the credits. That's the best it's going to get. Yep. And I hate saying that when I'm in Act 2, not near Act 3, but that was a problem with Powder, because they made that movie for the wrong reasons, and then the director attached to it had his own fruity ideas, and I'm going to call them what they fucking are.
Yeah.
But that this movie could have been really good. And there's a lot of parts of it that, in script writing, could have made this movie worthwhile, memorable, and something that we'd be talking about years later. We are talking about it decades later,
but
good for the wrong reason.
That's right.
You don't want me to shit on your movie. You don't want to have people shit on your movie. In general, we want people to enjoy the products you make. And this movie here, like, I don't know what the designer of the director of the film. I don't know what the producer was thinking when the producer like saw what his money had bought. I really feel sorry for the people involved with this, and I don't even like to say that, but I honestly do. I feel sorry for them for the fact that this is part of your legacy. And then you have like guys like Travolta, who he's a star, but if you examine his IMDb, there's just as many shitty films like Battlefield Earth and White Man's Problem or White Man's Privilege, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it's not the Nick Cage kind of shitty movies either. It's like they're shit movies.
Like I can watch most Nick Cage shit movies and enjoy myself, but John Travolta's shit movies are like a whole new level. Like there's self-flagellation, and then there's like I'm crying out for help because I'm driving a Cessna into a building. That level.
It's like the latter years of Steven Seagal.
Yeah.
Like he had 3 or 4 really good ones, and I got this like completionist bug sometimes when I watch movies. I'm like, okay, I gotta watch all of a director's films, or this actor was in such and such a movie. I'm gonna watch their entire catalog. With Steven Seagal, God, that hurt. Like his last like dozen movies have been just painful, and he seems to get bigger. And that's really sad because like he was skinny, and yeah, he did Aikido, but you know, he knew his shit in Aikido. And now he's like sitting in a chair for half of a movie, supposed to be like some special forces sniper, and he's like pushing 550.
Is he really?
One angle that I saw, he was huge. It was probably like 450.
That's not good.
But my God, I'm like, what the hell happened? Like, too much blow and Russian hookers out there in South Russia? What the hell?
Like we watched a movie together, and when we first started doing this, we did Victor Victoria, which is an interesting film. You get to see at the very end Robert Preston do kind of a humiliating performance, which he did in one take. At the end of that take, he's breathing heavy and about dead.
Yeah.
That was all one take that they filmed, and he did it from start to finish, and multiple angles.
Everyone was laughing.
One take.
Yeah.
And his character in that movie, you as a younger guy, you're watching this guy work, and you're like, if I want to become an actor, I want to be like that guy, because that guy is performing this role and he's selling me on it, and he's making it look like he's still having fun with life, even though he's a queen and he's got the worst shit deck of cards dealt out to him.
Yep.
He's got this going on and he's still making the best of it. That is a fucking actor. And you can't not watch Robert Preston in Victor Victoria and not feel some level of admiration, because the guy fucking sells it, and he comes off so triumphantly. And then after he made that movie, he made another good film called The Last Starfighter, which was his last movie, sadly.
Yeah.
And this movie you watched today, like, there's none of that level of awesomeness coming out of Cromwell or definitely Travolta. This movie failed. That I hate to keep kicking this dead horse, but I'm really good at it, and I'm gonna do that, because this movie is almost as shitty for me as watching G.I. Jane, which G.I. Jane should have been a better film that had a really good actor, had really good scores, had amazing soundtrack. Just the director, in my opinion, you have Ridley Scott on the start of his downhill slide, where he's making movies for agendas and CIA, and he's doing these really bad ideas, and we're going to have a woman Navy SEAL, and that's the garbage we got. So that scored a 25, and they wrote a movie that, if you just look at it in the context of this is a movie, it makes sense. But when you're tempered with real life experience and military experience, and you've seen Bad Brass, when you have all of this and it's assembled for you together, we're once again kicking the dead horse of G.I. Jane, which is another 1990s movie, which was
Yeah.
kind of cool and edgy, but that movie is just a miserable pile of shit. And like just fucking pop this in chat. Dizzy was way more badass than G.I. Jane anyway. Would you like to know more?
Back when I was 20, I totally wanted to know more.
I still want to know more. Dinah Meyer, I'm a fan of hers. I am a fan. If she's going to be at a convention nearby, I'm going to try to be there, and I want to get that autograph because she's like everybody else we got in chat on panel. Not going to live forever. Get your moments in when you can. Have your small smiles when you can achieve them. But just acknowledge the fact that like you're going to wake up one day and one of your favorite actors, one guy you thought would live forever. For me, that was Leonard Nimoy. When Leonard Nimoy passed in 2015, I was like, fuck me. Like, wait, this isn't supposed to happen. My grandfather died, and I thought like at some point, yeah, he would die because he had like the only thing keeping him alive was grandma's fucking spaghetti sauce, which had so much vitamin C packed into it that there would be nothing that could kill him. Once they moved him into a home away from grandma's kitchen, that was when everything collapsed. Within like 8 months, he was gone. But my
Don't get me started on that shit.
my grandmother had the sauce that was like the special secret stuff that apparently Italian nanas know how to make it. But once you get off of it, like everything abandons you. All your good things abandon you, and all the bad things attack in force with making up for lost time. And like my grandfather's death didn't affect me nearly as much as Leonard Nimoy because my grandfather and I argued a lot. You don't argue with a guy that on TV you want to be like him when you're fucking 3. You know, you want to be as awesome as him in scientific analysis and saying the right thing when you're 9. When you're a geeky kid and your friends really aren't your friends, they're just there to watch you fail because they got nothing else to do. It's a small town. You idolize things like Captain Kirk, Spock, Sulu. You idolize these guys that are now 2/3 of the crew of the original Enterprise gone and dead. And when Leonard Nimoy passed, that was just something I was not expecting to wake up to. And I'm in the shower and I'm listening to the radio and he's gone. That can't fucking be right. And I didn't know how to process that. And I since 2015, well, getting older sucks. Well, yeah, Bruce, you're over 40 now. Thanks, fucker. And it just that's where I think a lot of us are at. Some of you may have realized that before in your 20s or teens because maybe you had a traumatic accident, your grandparents died in front of you, or mom and dad were in a car accident, you were left behind like the outsiders. I don't know. But all of us hit this point where like all of our heroes eventually pass. And knowing what I know about Robert Preston and watching his limited movies that I've been exposed to so far, out of all the actors that have been in Hollywood, that's the one I'd probably want to shake the hands with most and get his autograph or maybe even get a photo because he was fun as fuck in 2 movies I love, Victor Victoria and The Last Starfighter. Last Starfighter is still one of the greatest movies of all time, even if it is a direct ripoff of Star Wars Episode 4. I don't give a shit. It is a concise story. It tells a complete story. It didn't try to bullshit me with some bad sequelitis, although I'm fearful in the future they are going to resurrect it and give it like Disney graphics, which are going to suck because the 84 graphics will be much, much better than what we get in the future. I can almost guarantee. I'll shut up now. Sorry.
Don't be sorry.
Yeah. Robert Preston, like, you just got a drop in the bucket of his catalog of movies.
Oh,
He's also done theater, radio, like, man's
Broadway.
awesome.
I think he's done Broadway too.
Mm-hmm.
And don't forget the guy was in 03 in fucking, Air Force back in World War II. He was in a 386 bombardment group. The guy had an actual real world experience, probably had his nuts fucking go into his stomach out of fear numerous times, made it back afterwards and did the right things and made himself successful even after the military. And a lot of guys, when they get out of the military, they kind of don't. They just kind of fade off and they'll do their things, and maybe they manage a warehouse, or maybe they drive a truck and own a small business with their themselves only being accountable to, which is sometimes the best way to do it because you can't trust people. But he did such a good job that he had this wonderful fucking Hollywood time that, you know, I kind of can't wait for Janet to nominate another movie of his. To, hey, we're going to watch this. Okay, cool. Let's do it. And I'm pretty much okay with that, because right now, I mean, he's in that same league of actors for me that R. Lee Ermey's in.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the second actor that other Star Wars actors and other Star Trek actors had died by 2017. But R. Lee Ermey passing on just was my second big kick in the nuts, because I watched Full Metal Jacket probably every 6 months, and then I'd watch the movie with the rats with him.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Goes on every day on Stars.
oh my god!
Yeah.
I'm bored. Oh, look, I've seen this 100 times already. I'm still gonna watch it.
Mac just sent me a list of 20 R-rated, ultra-violent, adult sword and sorcery movies that will. Okay, cool. That sounds
Good to go through that. That sounds like
You know,
good movies.
Janet.
Because we haven't done Beastmaster yet, have we?
Mark Singer has been off the books so far. We need to put him on.
Yeah, we haven't done that yet.
So we should either watch his Beastmaster movies or his series, or both, because like it would be epic to see him as Beastmaster and then jump into the original series or even the movie. That would be
Fun.
I would get my 80s rocks off on that.
Really
That would be
have
awesome.
been surprised how many movies I had never seen. I've been really shocked, and some of them have been really, really good. You know, like Cutthroat Island. I was just so surprised when I got to watch it. I was like, "Damn, this was a really good movie," you know. And then
Yeah.
I've seen some really bad ones, but it's been fun though. Even when you get to sit and watch movies with your friends, even if it's bad, you laugh through it, you know, or you go, "Oh my god, that sucked," or you know, whatever. It just makes the experience something you're going to remember. Even if it's a bad movie, you're going to remember it because who you got to sit and watch it with. You know, its entertainment value goes up just because of who you got to hang out with when you watch the movie. So, you know, all that stuff to me makes a big difference. And like watching Wind River. Okay. I didn't know if Bruce would like it, but it was a fucking good movie. I still love that movie. So there's lots of good movies out there that a lot of us haven't seen. And by us sharing our movie, you know, qualities or things that we think, hey, this is really good. And by talking about other movies, it makes other movies, oh yeah, I remember this movie, you know, that we haven't seen. And next week we're going to get to laugh our ass off and watch Caveman. I think it's great. I'm excited about it. I look forward to this every week. I mean, I really do. This is one of my high points to get to do this. So just wanted you guys to know that.
Quite okay.
It's my second favorite Caveman movie. You know, Quest for Fire was like the highbrow version
Yeah,
Caveman movie. Then there was Clan of the Cave Bear, which had Daryl Hannah, and that was cool.
I saw that one too.
The books were okay. It was geared toward the fairer sex, but you know, it was all right. And then you got Caveman, which, like, that's just a classic.
Yeah, I've seen Conan, and I love Conan. I own Conan, and I own Red Sonja, and I wrote Conan, the second Conan movie. So I have seen those.
I actually want to see Conan the Destroyer with you more than I want to see. Have you ever reviewed The Barbarian or not?
Mm-mm. We haven't done it yet.
Okay.
Oh man, should do a trilogy.
Yeah, it'd be fun. I mean, I just loved them. I thought they were really, really good and very well done. So
I'm a big fan. I'll just say that.
we haven't done the one though. We haven't done the movie where had the real tall basketball player and the young, and Bruce Lee is fighting his way up.
Game of Death.
Tower. We haven't done that yet, have we?
Nope.
See, that's another one we need to watch because I love, you know, and I love all those movies. The ones with the actors from I don't remember if it was Japan or China, but they're like all really good actors. And they do the like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, all those movies. I love all those. Because
The lady
remember,
that-
I got me some Asian outfit stuff now, so I'm excited. I'm still waiting on my geisha wig. So,
the lady that played the witch in that just passed.
oh really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shit. Yeah, you're right. It's a bummer, but I just love that kind of stuff. I just love. That's why I think John Wick is such a
5-year-old me was so terrified of that scene. I was
Yeah.
asking, "What's going on?" And
Scary.
they're just wrestling. Don't worry about it. And then she freaking vamps out, and
Mhm.
I got nowhere to run.
It's good movies. All those are good. Very good entertainment, and that's what entertainment is supposed to be. Something that takes you away from everything else for just a short time, but you stop thinking about all the other things because you're entertained. So,
Hold
yeah.
on, take me away.
Mhm.
I am so sad. This lady, she was a really good actress. She was in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, which that 2000 was actually a really good year for movies.
Yeah, it was.
And
That movie was awesome.
yeah, that kind of brought the wuxia to the mainstream. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we already had Jet Li and decades before Bruce Lee films, but
Mhm.
the this movie here was something special. And then we had the House of Flying Daggers come out, and she was in the Mulan.
In the Memoirs of a Geisha.
I don't consider that to be a mystical Chinese fantasy movie.
Well, I still liked it too.
Okay.
I liked it too.
Kung Fu Soccer.
I got them all stacked together in my little cabinet over there.
Getting the and I mean this is like one of the most fun movies
It's classic wuxia.
Yeah, it is.
It's good. I love this. The action scene stuff is just really, really fun to
The
watch.
cinematography with the use of color,
Mm-hmm.
the wide sweeping shots, like it's epic.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I love it.
Yeah, it's one of the movies that like in 2000 I remember watching this in theaters and like I got to bring my friends to see this shit. This is just way too much fun. And they did so good.
Yeah, the acting is good. I mean, everything about it was good. I that's why I'd like to watch it this time, looking at it differently. To see whether the story flows right and the music and the editing. Look at it that way. I'm excited about getting to see it that way. But so far, I own these because I just loved them. I've watched them multiple times.
That's the other one I was trying to think of. Curse the Golden Flower, which
Oh yeah, that one's good too.
Yeah.
the end of that movie is hard for me to watch because boy, that boy tried real hard, but it didn't help him in the end. Okay. 6 Nations, 31 Kings. Welcome to your streaming career. How do you feel, sir?
Like hammered shit, but I'm doing well. It was a rough night.
Yeah, last night was a lot of fun. Yesterday's game, I could do more games like that. That was a blast. Then me and Kai stayed up till way too late and talked about things and did our discussion.
Yeah. After your guys' show, I was up for like another 4 hours. And I'm like, what the hell am I doing? Got a movie to watch in a couple hours.
Okay, so
Yeah, Mac wrote something at the bottom. Did you see that?
he wants us to notify him.
Yeah.
For Conan the Barbarian. Yeah, I got some figures done last night, so I stayed up for a little bit longer than I should have.
Good.
That's okay, because today I'm going to go to sleep like a good boy and be a good boy at work and be a good boy at work and not get another fucking suspension. But anyway, I'm just, I really do enjoy having this time. I know we don't really have much of a lead time once we watch the film. We jump right into the discussion here. That hurts Janet's ability to coordinate costumes and all that. But
I just haven't been able to make shorts, to put on my channel as advertising like I used to, unless I've seen the movie and I know pretty much, who I want to dress up and stuff. Like today, after seeing the movie, I wanted to dress up as her, all beat up, but maybe I'm not supposed to.
Thankfully, you didn't.
So, I don't know. And remember, my bald wigs came in. I'm starting to get some of my other things that I've been wanting to get, but they were on back order because, the traffic, I guess, is really bad with ordering things because we don't sell stuff here anymore. You have to get everything from overseas. So maybe that'll get better after we get a new president.
As long as it's not from Timo.
But but me not knowing who I'm going to play, because I hadn't seen the movie, it makes it hard too, because I don't know what I'm going to wear. I'm digging through my costumes going, oh, do I have a jacket that color? What, that kind of stuff. But that's why I'm excited about the Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon stuff, because I've got a couple Asian things. So, and we haven't done the one with have we done the one with like Sub-Zero and they've been it?
We haven't done Mortal Kombat yet. We're going to probably go
Which
with
one?
the first one from 95.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I don't want to do the 97 Annihilation. I don't want to do anything since then. The 95 one is still the one that seems to be most more accurate.
Yeah.
Every CRX and Honda Civic, I remember in 95 was blaring that damn soundtrack.
We got to do Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
And we got to do Ghostbusters. Because I have me a whole costume for that. I'm excited about doing one day. The original one.
We're actually going to review Ghostbusters, the one I didn't like, Aftershock, Afterlife.
Afterlife?
With your friend Mikey on the 6th of October. I hope he still comes. I want to discuss that because
as long as I know and then soon enough so I can invite him to come.
I wanted to like that movie. Maybe you have to watch it again.
I did. I liked it. It's
I haven't seen it yet.
The old team and putting in a new team with the original actors for the new generation. See that, but I like the fact that they use the old people with the new people. You know what I mean? Because we don't get to see that very often. They just all of a sudden make a whole new movie. That's why I'm excited for you to get to watch Deadpool, because you get to see some of the thrown away characters that are in the garbage heap of Marvel or Disney or whatever, which is cool. So the way that they did it, I thought was great. You haven't seen it yet, right? You haven't seen Deadpool yet?
Not yet, no.
Okay.
Not the third one.
I'm not gonna ruin it. I'm not gonna tell you anything, because I hope you're not listening to a lot of people, because I think you should go and get to see it. I've been trying not to listen to anyone or anything, and just the little things you hear there and there, but that's it, and not watching anything, so that I could have a fresh view of it. And I'm glad I did that, and stay till the credits are over.
So next week we watch the movie Caveman with Ringo Starr, Dennis Quaid, Barbara Bach, Shelley Long, and
Ringo Starr.
Ringo Starr, and it's gonna be a lot of laughs, lots of laughs. A took. I hope you guys are available for that, because I'm sure gonna make some time for it. I'll try to get some time to see this. I want to take the wife to see that movie, actually.
Yeah, she would love it. She's gonna love it.
Everyone, be well, stay out of trouble, don't do anything that'll get you in hot water, etc., etc. Watch the comedy show, and I mean the Bolsheviks and all the bullshit. Watch it with a critical eye, because they're going to try to tell you things to distract you. Like right now, the big distraction is, oh, look at these faggots in France. And then they start like taking footage away from the Trump event that happened 2 weeks ago. And they're trying to cleanse the assassination attempt out of record. They're trying to revitalize history and make it to it's more beneficial to them. That's why you have
Google's making its moves.
Yeah, Google's making its moves. They're trying to
use DuckDuckGo and any other streaming things like Brave.
Brave is good.
Try to use alternative means
For an alternative to the garbage you find on YouTube. There's a
I'm not digging the whole AI thing.
no.
You know, everybody's got their own web browser with AI, and Brave got into it too. But it's a natural progression of stuff where we're the commodity now. Our data, our information, our usage is what they make money off of.
I recommend getting a hold of the 2-week free subscription to Pepperbox and going and watching the interview with Jodie Plowshe because
So I got to finish the last hour of that.
oh my fucking god, for 2 hours.
Fucking awesome.
They have a disclaimer at the start of their show that they say this is a little different than our usual. We're giving a disclaimer right now. We've never given a disclaimer. We want you to be aware that there may be some no words here or some situations which may not be friendly to certain ears. And if this isn't for you, if you get offended about things like rape or butthole sex, maybe this isn't the show for you to listen to. And I'm like, I listen to these guys all the time. They always talk about faggot stuff because that's what military guys talk about. We talk about like, oh, you're such a homosexual or you're such a faggot or whatever, blah, blah, blah. We always give shit to each other. Here comes Jodie Plowshe, the son of the great Saint Gary Plowshe, who blew away his son's molester at an airport. And
Jody dropped Moabs.
fucking 4 minutes in, I'm stopping my work at my job. I shut the pump and I rewind the fucking thing for 30 seconds to re-listen to this again. And I couldn't believe what I was hearing. And I was just kind of like, they really actually moved the fucking flag. They actually showed us that they could. They're definitely making a product for us to listen to. That wow, that disclaimer, that fucking warning, that blaring fucking red flag. Like, don't go beyond this point if you can't take sensitive topics like this guy's molesting kids. Don't listen to it. Don't watch it if you can't handle it. But if you can, you're going to feel like dog shit when you're in the middle of it and you're laughing your ass off because Jody is dropping verbal fucking flashbangs the whole time, making you laugh through his pain. And that's how he gets through it. And you can turn it into a drinking game because Donut Operator mentions gallows humor 7 or 8 times. So get your favorite drink bottle lined up there. Get your favorite hard liquor and your Boston glass there. So every time you hear gallows humor, just go ahead and take another swallow, and you'll be fine. It'll be the best fucking laugh through somebody else's trauma you'll ever have. I almost guarantee it. I don't know how to put it, but that is, if you've not heard of Jodie Plowshe, if you've not already wasted your 2 weeks free subscription to Pepperbox, that's what I did this weekend. I've listened to it twice so far, and I'm so fucking happy I did because I have a new level of understanding of just where the line is. Wow. Janet, do you want to walk us out?
I want to say thank you to everyone in the chat that stopped in to say hi and hung out with us to listen to what we had to say about the movie that we watched. And hopefully you can join us next week and watch the movie Caveman with us if you want. It's gonna be a bunch. It's gonna be a lot of fun. We'll laugh a lot, I'm sure. Enjoy just hanging out and enjoying a good movie with friends. And then after that, we'll review it, and it'll be us doing this again. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. And so does Bruce. And thank you, Six Nations, for hanging out with us.
Thanks for having me. It was a blast.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.